What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Bare Minimum on 4 Star Chicago Sports. I am Brandon, and joined once again by Dustin Jones. It's been a couple weeks, Dustin. How you feeling? Other than tired?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm glad to be back, man. It's been a long day, but it's
Yeah,
been
we
like a
missed you, man.
month. Yeah, it's been like a
Missed.
month, man. Shout out to Sean for holding it down. You guys have been doing a great job, but I'm ready to get into it, man. Talk some shit, have some fun.
Yeah, I did want to say I'm glad to have you back, man. But I don't want to discredit Sean for the weeks he filled in, man. It was a fun time. It's kind of cool. Maybe that's a dynamic we can work on, man. Switching some co-hosts around for a show or two, see how that works out. One guy working with somebody else for a change. But glad to have you back, man. How's the baby? How's everything there? Happy,
And then
healthy?
the baby, this is the one night this week that she doesn't want to sleep. Like she's been sleeping so good. And of course, when my first show back in a month, she does not want to sleep. So it's like I'm looking at the wife, I'm like, we don't do this enough, and I just want to say this. Shout out to our women because they tolerate our bullshit, and they support us, and we just come on here and talk shit and hope people listen about our sports teams. Like my wife does an awful lot at home with the baby, and I just started back to work, so it's like you're trying to figure out that dynamic, but we don't thank our women enough for being, supportive and understanding that, this is something we want to do, and we want to do it well, and with that support it makes it a lot easier, I think.
Yeah,
Without it,
well,
it's a lot
truth.
harder.
That they tolerate it. And if you had a son, he would have been sleeping tonight. But even the
So
even the even the
yeah,
babies are opposed to their love for sports, man.
no, I mean, but listen, like Steph, Liz, Tiana, my wife Cindy, you
Yeah,
guys are
no, God
loved.
bless them. They've shown us a
Thank
lot of
you.
support, a lot of love. Wouldn't
Hmm.
be possible without them, obviously, and without their ability to tolerate the hours we spend in this. But
Yeah.
Dustin, tonight's show, we got a good one. You actually pitched it to me this morning, and I'm excited to talk about it, man. We're going to talk about Caleb Williams. Is he fed up with the questions regarding the upcoming book? And what does a successful season look like for the Chicago Bears in 2025? And how do we gauge it? All of that after this.
And four
Well, let's
star
go.
Chicago sports.
Let's dive right into this thing, man. So we all watched the presser yesterday. I would imagine every Bears fan has by now, and if not, guys, we'll get you up to speed. But Caleb Williams had a lot to say because a lot of questions were asked, and not so much about the OTAs that he's been involved in the last couple of days, more about the book that's coming out, written by Seth Wickersham. It is a book about quarterbacks, but it does have a lot to do with Caleb Williams and his approach to the draft, Dustin, especially more leaning on the idea that he didn't want to be a quarterback for the Chicago Bears because his father had publicly posted this is a place where quarterbacks come to die. That's when the rumors started to kind of to surface. But yeah, did you get a chance to watch most of Caleb's presser?
I've watched it a couple times, kind of analyzing his body language. And I do want to say, Shorty wants to go to Sammy's in Round Lake next month. I'm down, Shorty. Let us
Oh
know.
yeah, it's been too long, man. Nostalgia.
um, but I this whole thing from the even I want to go back to before he was drafted because there were so many naysayers, Brandon, around Caleb Williams in Chicago. The media, fans, people that did not think the Bears should move on from Justin Fields, people that did not think Caleb Williams was the right guy. That that has been entrenched for a while now, since before the Bears even drafted him. And these reports came out. You remember Colin Cowherd came out with that report, and it was shot down pretty quickly. It was refuted by Caleb's camp, but now we're finding out that it's true. Caleb had trepidation about ending up in Chicago. At the end of the day, he didn't have a choice. And what me and you were saying at the time, Brandon, was that very thing. There is no real choice here for a rookie who's coming into the league. And also, Caleb is that guy. And once he realizes if he is that guy in Chicago and turns this thing around, he's going to get on board. We were saying that at that time, Brandon. And that's exactly what has happened. We can also really point out the fact that he was 100% right to have those fears and that trepidation. Look at the season that developed in his rookie year for the Chicago Bears. You know what I'm saying? Like it, three different offensive coordinators, two head coaches, just in a terrible offensive line that allowed sack after sack and pressure after pressure and didn't allow him to get into a rhythm often. The team was not put together well around him. So he was right in this. So this being a story now doesn't make sense to me. And I don't hear fans talking about it, Brandon. I don't hear the team really talking about it and making it a big deal. It's just the media. And obviously that's their job. They need to get clicks, they need to get attention. But at the end of the day, Caleb showed up here. He did his job through some bullshit and he was really right. We all knew it. If you're an honest Chicago Bears fan, this is a place where quarterbacks have gone to die, Brandon. He was right to
Yeah.
have that fear. And he pointed out in that press conference, like, if you're in that situation, if you were in that situation, you would have those thoughts too. But they were that, just thoughts, and him trying to analyze everything and figure out what was best for him, which you cannot fault a person for doing. Not in my mind.
Yeah, he was Dustin. I mean, probably honestly, one injury away from his putting a stamp on his father's inclination, right? I mean,
And
honest to
his
God,
own.
man,
And his own.
quarterbacks
Let's
come
not
here
just
to
put it on his
die.
dad. Yes, yes,
What
yes.
I mean, the statement in itself. I mean,
From
Caleb
his dad.
Williams got out
Yeah.
of this season alive. It's
Barely.
68 sacks.
Yeah, barely.
Barely. Emphasis on bare. Yeah, this is not something that I find appalling for a quarterback to say, who's headed to this city, man. It's just the way it is, and it's been the narrative that we preach again and again after again on this podcast and whatever it is we talk about. Chicago has had a history of egregiously bad ones weren't really all that good, right, Dustin? I mean, it doesn't ever change, and hopefully Caleb Williams is going to be the guy that rewrites the script, man. But it we've watched it year in and year out. He's not wrong. His father wasn't wrong, and any person who takes any position or job with this organization should have their reservations about it. Honest to God, even a head
Yeah,
coach, and I think Ben Johnson did as well.
yeah, for sure. But now, if you look at what's happening now, what's up, Vizzo Joe? How you doing? If you look at what's happening now, if I'm Caleb Williams, it's like for this to come out now, it just doesn't make sense. And for it to be focused on so heavily doesn't make sense because the Bears just spent a whole offseason showing Caleb Williams how very important he is to them as a franchise. They went and got the offensive head coach. They went and got the coaching staff to surround him with of veterans and younger guys. They went and got giant improvements on the offensive line. You can tell me what you want to tell me about this offensive line not being deep enough or there's still question marks. Every offensive line in the NFL has question marks. The Bears have improved their offensive line from last year dramatically. You know what I'm saying? And they added Luther Burden and they added Colston Loveland and they drafted offensive line. Like they focus heavily on making Caleb the priority. And if I'm Caleb Williams right now looking at this team in this offseason, what they've done, I am fucking hyped, dude. This team is showing me that they love me. And they showed it to him in the pre-draft process too. And at the end of the day, it comes down to that challenge of being that guy that can turn it around in this franchise. Because if he is that guy here in Chicago, he will be remembered forever. And pairing him with Ben Johnson, I think is just it's bound to work. Like it feels like it has the makings of a quarterback coach tandem that will work. And I think that they're both up to that challenge, man, to change the perspective of what offensive football looks like in Chicago. And so I mean, with all those things going on, and then for this story to come out, it's just like, yeah, obviously he would have had, his reservations about being a Chicago Bear, given its history. That's a natural thing. And like I said, it's understandable. But for it to be made a big deal of now, I can't reconcile it in my head. It doesn't make sense because this was a story before the draft. We all knew
Yeah,
this already.
yeah, and it feels like Jake Tapper's Joe Biden book. I mean, this is just a good moment for Seth Wickersham to get his publicity. And the guys, this is what comes with ESPN, the politics that is journalism. I mean, this is probably the most inappropriate moment for this to be publicized for Caleb Williams' career, but it's the best time for Seth Wickersham to do this, right? I mean, he's going to be the talk of the town. This book's going to be the talk of the town. And I agree with you, Dustin. I haven't heard really too many fans. Well, we had Caleb haters before, and that'll probably,
And we still have
you know,
some. There's still
yeah, it'll
some.
probably be till the end of his career because I actually, guys, by the way, check out 4 Star Chicago Sports TikTok. I posted a short about Caleb Williams. Some guys started shredding him about how he's overhyped and overrated and he's a bust. And then he tells me he's been a Bears fan for 27 years. And I said to him, all due respect, man, you have your opinion and everybody does, but you sound like you're rooting against your own quarterback. And that's something we kind of got comfortable with, you and me, Dustin, because we saw the divisiveness that the moving on from Justin Fields created. There was this half of the fan base that didn't want Caleb here in the first place, and those are the only people that are going to read into this story now. You know what I mean? If you watched Caleb Williams as a rookie quarterback in the Chicago Bears, he's one of three to throw for 35 plus 100 yards, and guys, he's the only Bears quarterback that broke the rookie record for attempts without an interception. So I mean,
Six
it's not like
interceptions, 20
it's,
touchdowns. I mean,
yeah,
sacked 68 times, man. All of doing all that while being under the duress that he was under. I mean, after seeing him go through it this season and stay professional, that's what pisses me off. You saw him get his ass kicked all year, walk up to the podium and be a fucking professional. And then you want to use this opportunity to question him after a year of turmoil. And now we're going into a year where things are feeling better and things have been addressed, as I said. And I expect Caleb to really flourish in this offense and with the weapons around him and the offensive line improve. So it's like you can it's like they were waiting for an opportunity to do this. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me, man. It doesn't. I understand the story is going to come out and it is what it is. And I just think Caleb was, and I felt for Caleb in that press conference because I felt he just felt like I really got to fucking do this, guys. You guys saw what I just did for your city last year and what I dealt with in Chicago, and I got to come up here and answer
yeah, the
these
blood I
questions.
left on the
You
field.
you want to question my loyalty to this team and me wanting to be here after I just got my ass kicked for an entire season? Like
Yeah.
I felt that from him, and I related to it.
Yeah, he did at the end of that interview seem at least fed up with the questions regarding the same subject because he led the interview before even being
Caleb,
asked about
does
it
your
with
dad
let me
speak for you?
let yeah, he led the
Yeah,
interview with let me just get this shit out of the way, right?
yeah.
Because there is
What
football.
everybody wants to talk
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, there's football going on now, and I think he expected more questions regarding that, but it was just one after the next, and they just hammered him, man. And the thing is, too, man, sure, Caleb Williams didn't want, like, he had his reservations about coming here. We could maybe even say he didn't want to be here until he came here. He was sold, he bought in, and we saw that from day one. Because Dustin, the reality is, it's not unknown for any player at any sport to make themselves such a headline and such a headache that they get moved the hell on from. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's not like Caleb couldn't have just come here and been a fucking diva all the way through until they kicked him out, right? He embraced it. He came here. He put his helmet on. He got to fucking work, man. He got his ass kicked. And like you said, he approached the podium every day as the leader this team needed, which, by the way, they didn't have. I feel like he
Mm-hmm.
was the only guy that I can call from last season as a true leader of this team. And his attitude's still the same today. I want to hit the ground running. I want to learn this new system. I want to be the best I can be for this city. And he wants to sincerely change the narrative that is quarterbacks come here to die.
And
And I think
he's
he's even more driven for it. You know what I mean?
yeah, no, for sure. And again, he should be with everything that's happening here, with the changes that are being made. But he stood up there and took those questions, and the media could have asked him whatever he wanted. It seemed like he was trying to be transparent. He was trying to be honest. He wanted to get in front of it and take away from the distraction that it's been to him and to his in turn his team. You know what I'm saying? But he stood up there and took the questions and answered them as honestly as possible. And he was much more transparent than anybody deserved him to be. At the end,
Hey,
if it were
short.
me, bro, if it were me, I would be like, listen, I'm a fucking Chicago Bear, guys. I'm a Chicago Bear. It is what it is. I'm here. I just played a full season for you guys, and he did say, 3,500 yards, only 6 touchdowns in the NFL. He's proud of some of the things he's done, but he's not happy with it. He's not happy with it, and he
Yeah,
said that as well. So it's just it's it's hard, man, when you see that. I personally feel the Bears have their quarterback. And my reaction when this story came out a week ago and was just like, what's the fucking big deal? He's here. it's what's done is done. This is a year ago when a kid who was making a shit ton of money in college. He had no there was no like it's not like in the past where you got to get to the league to make that money. Caleb was in a condo in LA, bro, living it up, playing for USC. Like he had it good and he came here. I can't fault a guy for saying like what maybe that situation is not as good as the situation I'm in right now. You're a kid in your fucking 20s, man. Like I don't know, man. It's hard for me to wrap my head around it. Why
Well,
people want to
he
make
also
such a big deal about it.
came to point out that he went to Minnesota first and had that visit where he liked Kevin O'Connell. He liked the system they had in place. He liked all the
How could
pieces
you
there,
not?
and
How
he
could you
came to
not?
Chicago afterwards and chose Chicago after visiting Chicago. And like you said, Dustin,
Well, he
Caleb was
didn't
going to
choose
be here no
Chicago.
matter what.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Like
Chicago
Caleb was
chose
going to be
him.
here.
Man, let's be
But
clear.
he should have the same attitude now moving forward. Like, listen, I was stuck with this situation no matter what. Ryan Poles told me that I'm going to be here. And now, guess what,
Whether you
guys?
like it or not. Yeah.
You're fucking stuck with me. I'm your quarterback moving forward, and they're going to see
Mhm.
how this thing plays out no matter what. Love me or hate me, I'm going to be the Chicago Bears quarterback probably until my rookie deal ends at least. So it is what it is, man. And another thing that he said, man, that I kind of suspected when I heard this, man. I don't. He did make it sound like Wickersham kind of took his words out of context regarding the film, the watching
Multiple
the
times. Yeah,
film.
on multiple things. He
Yeah,
pointed out on multiple things, but the film thing for sure. I mean, and that's an insult to him. Like he doesn't know how to watch tape. You could understand a rookie quarterback wanting to have that guidance, obviously, in the NFL, your first year in the NFL. And shame on the Bears and their decision makers and their brass for not making sure he had that. When he talks about what Ben Johnson focuses on, his attention to detail and what he wants out of every play and those things, if you're not getting that from every coach in the NFL, like that person does not deserve to have a job. Shane Waldron, he's jobless, right? Did Shane Waldron
yeah.
go somewhere?
I don't
Does
believe
he have a
so. No,
job? No, no. And he should
I
be.
would.
He should be. If you're not giving that type of attention to your rookie quarterback that Ben Johnson is giving to Caleb now, then shame on you, man. Honestly.
Oh yeah, and you're the one who's gonna sink with that ship too, man. And yeah, and Caleb did say some good things about Shane Waldron as well, man. It seemed like that relationship burned, but Caleb said that I think he actually said he's still in contact with Shane. I mean, Caleb was defending
I
the
don't
Bears.
believe that.
But Caleb was
I don't believe
defending the
that.
Bears, and that says a lot too, man. He didn't have to, you know what I mean? Caleb could say, "Yeah, those guys are gone, so they didn't do the right things. They didn't do what was good for me." But he still defended those guys, which means, this guy is committed. He is 100% a Bear. He bleeds it. He had his little thing that everybody did for the first year he was here, and I agree with you, man. The one thing that I can say that I like about this whole situation is the fan base hasn't turned against Caleb.
That was that's
At
the
least the
biggest
ones
thing
that
to
were
me.
that were already behind him. Yeah,
The
they
thing that
just
I
blew it up.
the thing that I looked into the most with the press conference was I just went to all the comments on YouTube, and I saw some of our people that watch our shows in here too putting comments in there. Every single one was positive in support of Caleb. You know what I'm saying? So it's like and also echoing that same sentiment of why is this a fucking big deal? Why are you making this a thing? The media is making this a thing. We don't care. Caleb is our quarterback. And I mean, if that's the sentiment of the fan base, then I think Chicago fans have come a long way, to be quite honest, because you've pointed out fans that you've talked to that you just interacted with on TikTok that we're jaded and we've dealt with a lot of bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And Vizzo right here saying Caleb has handled the Chicago media very well, even with losses in the book drama. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's the sentiment, it seems like the overall sentiment of the Chicago fan base in general, which makes me happy, man, because there's some logic to that, and you don't experience a lot of it often when it comes to sports fandom.
Yeah, and Caleb said he had a conversation with Ryan Poles regarding this book release, and I imagine that conversation wasn't very long because this is the conversation he had with Ryan Poles today. He was fucking sold on it, man. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah,
sat with Ryan Poles in a pre-draft process. He stated his reservations. He stated that he wasn't sure that this is the place he wanted to be, and Ryan Poles convinced him. And more so than that, man, Ryan Poles probably asked him for his fucking help. Like, man, you want to see the quarterback narrative change in this city?
Be the
Be the
change.
change.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
you. And
Hmm.
you should embrace that because that makes you a football god as far as the NFL
Yeah.
is concerned if it
And can
works
I
out.
say that? Can I say that that question was stupid? And that, like, did you have to talk to people in the building about this? Ryan Poles was a part of this story. If Ryan Poles has to tell Caleb Williams, we're drafting you no matter what, then Ryan Poles clearly understood that
Yeah,
Caleb has some reservations about
he's the
coming.
main character, and
It's not like Caleb just sideswiped them with all these thoughts he had. He communicated them to Ryan Poles, obviously, for Ryan Poles to have to say something like that to Caleb. So it's not like you said, they should not have had to talk about this much because they talked about it a fucking year ago. Why are
yeah,
we talking
yeah,
about it now?
yeah. I
That's
would
what I'm
imagine it
saying.
was. I would imagine it was Ryan Poles telling Caleb Williams, "I don't care about the fucking book release, man. It's not something I want you to focus on. I want you to focus on what the hell is going on right here,
Yep.
right now in this fucking
Yep.
building." And
And
that's and Ryan,
they tried to avoid talking about it. They spent this entire week of not responding to it, but eventually, like, the media just wouldn't shut the fuck up. So, like, Caleb had to say something just to get it done and get it over with. And Ryan Poles probably was like, "Yeah, you gotta go do it, dude. You
oh,
gotta go talk to him."
and Caleb Williams is a smart guy. He knew this was he knew there was a fucking ambush yesterday, man. I mean, he knew what he
Mhm.
was walking into. You know, I mean, these guys are sharks. They just need something to print. They need something that people are going to read. So it's not going to be regarding OTAs. That's not what's going to get you the bait, man. He knew those were the majority of the questions were going to be regarding this subject, and he came with answers. He came well prepared, and like you said, Dustin, and everything this organization's been since Ben Johnson got here, especially transparent, honest, and genuine, right? People
Mhm.
respect genuine. Love or hate Caleb Williams, you have to respect genuine. You know what I mean? It's just,
Authenticity. That's
yeah, yeah,
that's our motto at
abs,
4 Star Chicago Sports. Authenticity. Just be your
yeah,
fucking self, dude. And Caleb has
100%.
done that. Yeah.
And like I said, you can love somebody for it or hate them for it, but you have to respect it. You know what I mean? They're not conforming and they're not trying to sell you the things that you want to hear. Caleb didn't go out there and just give a bunch of fucking Matty Berfus word salad. He answered the questions the best he could, the information that the media needed. And you know what? Hopefully, because he did that, and I'm sure he's aware of this, because he answered those questions as honestly and genuinely as he could, it's fucking behind him now. If there's another, if because this guy who's writing this book, man, I mean, like the old news is no news as far as I'm concerned. But the guy that's going to keep harping on this and asking Caleb these questions, what when we're a fucking another week and a half into OTAs, I think that's when their next OTAs. You're not going to be selling shit after this, man. I mean, it's done. It's dead in the water. Caleb just put the nail in that coffin. So good for him. And once again, like Fizzo Joe says, he went up there and he handled himself like a fucking man. I am. This kid is a man, dude. And listen, me and you, Dustin, we liked Shador Sanders. We liked the talent the kid has, but he is not where he
No, he's a
needs to be
child.
as
He's
an
not
individual.
mature. He's
Yeah.
not mature enough
When
to
you
be a quarterback
when you
for an
watch
NFL
like
team right now.
him
No.
versus Shador versus Caleb, it's like look how far Caleb is and his maturity, man. I mean, it's really impressive. And if there's one thing that you don't, if you don't like Caleb Williams, that's one another thing that you have to respect about the guy is he's a no bullshitter, man. It just is what it is. He's here to come to work. He gets paid to do
Yeah.
this. It's his job.
Well, this book is coming out the day after opening the Tuesday after that Monday
Of
night
course.
football game, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like, and Caleb was asked about that, like if there's anything else coming out that's gonna be a surprise, and Caleb said, that's why I'm talking to you guys now because I'm trying to just get in front of this and get it over with, and hopefully it is, man. But the biggest thing that because I'll just say it again, I don't give a shit about any of this. That book can kiss my ass. I don't care. It means nothing to me. But the biggest thing I took from that press conference yesterday was Caleb talking about the challenge that him and Ben Johnson, Brandon, are taking on. Again, like I mentioned earlier, changing the perspective of what and the image of what Chicago offense and Chicago quarterback play looks like for this Bears team. And I thought that was the biggest thing to think about that I took from that is like, do you believe that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams are up to that challenge to change it around and be those, really gods in Chicago if they're able to do it, Brandon? And that's the thing that I get excited about when I think about that.
Yeah, and I think it's a hard narrative to change, Dustin. It's not going to come easy, and it's going to take some time. And especially we're watching in OTAs. He threw multiple interceptions yesterday. I mean, like the news isn't good, but it's what you expect, right? And that's another thing people are jumping on. Man, oh, Caleb threw two picks. Another bad day for Caleb Williams.
Please,
I mean,
if you're gonna throw
did
picks,
you
throw them now.
Yeah, and did
Throw
you
'em.
think that he was going to walk into this and be Jared Goff of last year? Like, I mean, it doesn't work that way, man.
Well,
And he's
even Jared
changing.
Goff had a game where he threw 5 interceptions, Brandon. Like,
Well,
you know,
I
like
just mean the struggles will be there,
mm,
man. And to be honest with you, man, this is not an easy offense to learn. It's not. And Ben Johnson's going to make sure that Caleb gets it right by probably trying to load him up early and often, man. So that's another thing that I think that is the thing that the fans have kind of read into a little bit. I've seen some stuff go across, social media platforms like, oh, Caleb had another bad day. Like, I don't fucking care, man. I don't. Like, don't tell me what happened in OTAs. Don't tell me that Cairo Santos missed a field goal. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like Dustin, the how you change this narrative is only going to be under one condition. What happens on Sundays when the shit matters? You know what I mean? That's what's going to
yeah,
change this narrative because we can read Caleb Williams threw 10 touchdowns today in OTAs, and you and me are smart enough and well grounded to know it doesn't matter. It doesn't
yeah,
matter.
no,
We
it
have to see
matters.
this team win some football games, man.
But
That's
that
what we
starts
have to
now,
see.
Brandon. That starts
Oh,
now. That starts in the OTAs with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams sharing thoughts and Caleb Williams seeing what Ben Johnson sees when he draws up play, right? And it starts in training camp. That's where all that stuff is built to where Caleb is able to perform on those Sundays when the games matter. And since you didn't answer my question, I'll just come out and say it, man. I firmly believe that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson are up to this challenge, man. I think that this is the best chance that the Bears have had at this. I mean, Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall, that was a fun thing to watch, but it didn't feel like, Caleb Williams, Mark Trestman or John Fox or whatever the coaching was. Ben Johnson feels like a legit head coach, an offensive mastermind that's gonna and I gotta disagree with you on the one thing you said, loading Caleb up early and often. I don't think that'll be the case. I think Caleb can take on a lot, but I think Ben Johnson his goal is going to make the game. Goal is going to be to make the game
well,
as simple as possible for Caleb
but
Williams
I, but
early
I-
on.
but at the same sense though, man, the first thing he did to Caleb is change something he's done for 20 years.
Well,
Like he changed.
that's a simple thing when it
You
comes. I
think it
mean,
is, but it's
no, it is.
probably not. It's
No, it
because
is.
Caleb talked about it and he said, "Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's I've done it's a you have this second nature, something you've done for so long."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "It's the Ben Johnson effect." And then they said Ben's going to get a laugh out of that because the reality is like it's probably something Caleb Williams been yelled at a few times for already. I can almost guarantee it that he's led that snap with his right foot, and Ben had to tell him like, "Dude." And this what this coaching staff is doing, man. They're correcting the mistakes right now, man. And like
And
you
it makes
said,
sense.
this
Yes,
is
to
when you
get it
need to
done
see.
now. Yeah.
And I agree with you this, man. I think that this will be the most that we've ever seen our quarterback be the extension of like the offensive coordinator's mind, right? I think that's going to be the thing that they're going to try to
Jay
implement here. Is
Cutler
that
was not that for Mark Trestman.
no, no, he
No,
was
Jay Cutler's
very
got to
much a
do
mind
his
of his
thing.
own. Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a
yeah.
little rogue. Yeah, and I do think this, Dustin, that like
Do you
I
think
don't
they're
know.
up to this challenge, Brandon? Do you think they're going
Well,
to change the image of what a quarterback and an offensive game plan looks like in Chicago, man?
yeah,
Just
I do
answer the
because
question.
I don't think I never bought it to begin with, Dustin. I don't think that Chicago is a place that quarterbacks come to die. I don't believe that narrative.
Well, it has been. It
I
has
think
been.
that I think that Chicago's just never had really good quarterbacks. I
No,
don't.
Mitch Trubisky was a terrible pick when they
Yeah,
made it. I said it then. Justin Fields was not a good pick when they made it. That was a reach. I mean, it's just been one stab at after another at just kind of not really good talent. Caleb Williams is clearly that, and I
a
think
good
Ben
player.
John. Yes, a good quarterback, and Ben John, and he's smart, and he's professional, and he's cool. He's got some charisma to him too. So I mean, he's got the moxie that you need from that. Mitch Trubisky did not have that shit. Mitch Trubisky and Matt Nagy was not the combination that Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams is, bro. It's not even fucking close to me. And I do buy into that, man, because I've watched it for years. I haven't seen a real quarterback in Chicago besides fucking, Jay Cutler. I haven't, Brandon. I mean, Jim
Yeah,
Miller was somebody I liked, but he wasn't what Caleb Williams is going to be,
and
and I don't think there's anything close to what we got right now.
no, I agree with you there because I think Chicago has had decent players at the position. Like Jay Cutler, man, could sling. You know, he was a gunslinger, but they never really had the right coach. And he had what, four different coaches while he was here. I think this is the first time I
The
can see
offensive
they have a good,
coordinators.
yeah,
Mhm.
they have a good player at quarterback, and they have a good leader of a good quarterback as a head coach. I could say that's the first time I feel that way. They
And
have
there's
a
going to be
guy who
continuity,
and
right?
and a guy who can get the most out of a quarterback. I don't think we've ever had that here, Dustin. And that's the one thing you can take pride in saying. Like when they went with a guy like Ben Johnson versus hiring the leader of men like Mike Vrabel, was like, Ben Johnson's going to do whatever it takes to get the most out of Caleb Williams. I firmly believe that that's going to be the case, and I think Caleb's got a lot in there, man. So I
Yeah.
think this could be something really special, man, because he's a
And
good football player.
And Ben Johnson being your head coach and your offensive coordinator means that the system is not going to change for Caleb anytime soon. Like, a lot of
Yeah.
times you see that offensive coordinator that has that success with a good head coach, and that offensive coordinator is gone in a year, and then you're changing the system again, or you're bringing in a new guy. Caleb's going to have continuity for years here with young weapons around him, a young head coach who's going to be the offensive mastermind for this team, and that's not going to change anytime soon. And so that's really smart forward thinking by the Chicago Bears to surround Caleb with the things that they have, because they really are insulating him from failure as much as possible, as much as you can in the NFL, man.
Yeah, and they've already started to do what, and I've harped on this, man, for the last couple of weeks on these shows, and I'm sure people are getting tired of hearing it, but I'm gonna just keep saying it, man. We have got, like, Jay Cutler was a veteran player when we got him from the Broncos, and he's probably the best quarterback we've had in the last 2 decades.
You remember
We
how
have no
excited we were when we
yeah,
got Jay?
quar- quarterback development dies here.
Hmm.
It dies here. When we get a young quarterback, like you stated, Dustin, even if Trubisky and Fields might have been bad before we got him, but the point, it doesn't matter. When we get a quarterback that has any kind of talent, we don't make them better in this city. So I'll say that they crash and burn. They fizzle out when they come to this place. And I think Ben Johnson will make Caleb Williams progress from what he already is. And me and you, Dustin, since his Oklahoma days, have known this kid can play football. I mean, there's no doubt about that. We and you can say all these guys, like with the kid I read from the TikTok thing, man, overhyped. No, that's not the truth. There's a reason he was what he was. There's a reason the draft sweepstakes occurred. There's a reason the hype was there. He does things that the average NFL quarterback is just not capable of. And if Ben Johnson can utilize the strengths that Caleb has, there's just no way he's not going to be one of the better players in this league. I firmly believe that.
I believe he's in for a top 10 season quarterback wise this season, as soon as this season. I really do. And that kind of blends into this question that Bizzo's asking that we could kind of break down, Brandon. He's asking, do you think Caleb has all the pieces he needs to succeed in the NFL?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think he's rough around the edges. And I'm going to say this, Visual Joe. I hate to say this. He's a smart guy, and he's going to take what he learned from his rookie season, and he's going to apply it to his future. But I also think that rookie season did some damage to Caleb Williams. I don't think there was a lot of things that I think might have regressed some of the qualities that Caleb Williams had. I would imagine trust is a hard thing for him when it comes to his protection, and he was just so, that offense became so dumbed down. You know what I mean? I think they had 21 passes in a game behind the line of scrimmage. So yes, I think Caleb has everything that a quarterback needs to be successful in the NFL, and I think Ben Johnson needs to go in there and find it in him again. And I think he needs to make Caleb the centerpiece. And just don't take what I'm saying out of context. This team needs to run the ball just like Detroit did. Ben Johnson is very keen to the fact that you need a balanced offense. But Caleb is the future of this franchise, and the abilities that Caleb has, Vizzo Joe, that's what's different to me. And that's what me and Dustin are talking about, changing the narrative. That's what's different. You've never had a kid like this before. Not in this organization, not in this franchise.
So talent wise, just from the tools that Caleb has, yes, he has all of that. If you're talking about the pieces that have now been put around him, I mean, again, Ben Johnson, offensive line, the interior of the offensive line completely remade over in this offseason. Roma Dunze going into his second year, draft Colston Loveland, draft Luther Burden, add offensive line depth. I mean, the offensive coaching staff, the offensive line coach, the receivers coach, your
Your
wonderkin,
offensive
hopefully
line coach,
offensive.
40
Yeah,
years of experience. Yeah.
that was the first thing I said. Yeah, offensive line coach was the first thing I
Eric
said. Yeah,
Bieniemy,
right.
who was a head
Bieniemy,
coach candidate.
who is
Yeah.
going to be riding Manungai's ass all off season and season. It's going to be fun to watch.
You
It's
look
going to
like
get a
an
lot
old,
of awesome.
you move like an old ass man.
Dude, in my draft grade piece, I talked about it, how much Bieniemy loves riding rookie running backs, and he's not wasting any time getting in Manungai's ass.
He's on him. Yeah, he
And
is
it's
on him. And
but it's going to produce results. So I mean, like when it comes to the pieces around Caleb, that's another thing that I think the Bears have done. Like I said, I'd be ecstatic if I was Caleb Williams for what the Bears have shown him this offseason. But I do want to make this point, Brandon, given what we were talking about with this whole press conference with Caleb Williams and the story that's out there, he had these reservations. He came here; those reservations were they were proven to be true. They were proven that he had a right, he was very much within his rights to feel that way. And the Bears proved him right this past season. Now, the Bears went and got Ben Johnson and they added all these pieces that we're talking about to help him succeed. Now, if it doesn't happen this year, you don't see some success and progression in Caleb Williams, and you don't see it translate to some more wins on the field and the team having good vibes. I worry about that with Caleb Brandon. I worry about like if he sees like, okay, last year I had Shane Waldron and he got fired, and then Thomas Brown came in and he got promoted after the head coach got fired, and then I had another offensive coordinator when Thomas Brown went up to head coach, and everything was in turmoil. Now this year I have all these things that have been put in place for me, and it's supposed to work, and I feel really good about it. But then the season starts and goes on, and the Bears fall flat on their asses, and Caleb does as well because of it. I worry about where Caleb Williams' mind state goes after that. Having had those reservations to start and being proven right in his first season, and then these changes get made, if this isn't successful, fairly quickly in terms of at least offensive production, I do worry about how Caleb starts to think about that in his internal dialogue, bro. I do. Do
well,
you get what
yeah,
I'm saying?
and Caleb's ears must be a little deaf to some of Ryan Poles' promises when he had that pre-draft
Verbal
meeting.
Jesus.
Ryan Poles told him like, "I'm going to make sure that it's not what you're concerned about in this city, man. I'm going to make sure that this is not the old bad news Bears." And it was. It was, and I don't know what Ryan Poles promised him. I don't know if he said it's going to be year one. We're going to have this thing back on the track,
Well,
but
Poles certainly thought they were a
if he
playoff team.
did, they fell fucking short. And Caleb Williams
Mhm.
has got to concern himself with like, man, Poles said this and said that and made these promises. But I will say this, man. I'll echo what our co-host Kyle says here a lot. Right, this offseason, Ryan Poles, to Visual Joe's question, got everything that Caleb needed, and then got more.
Mhm.
I'll say that he did not stop pouring it on, because after he made those two big trades to acquire offensive linemen, he drafted two more, and then he went out after getting Roman Dunze with a top 10 pick last year, with this team having some pretty good needs on the defensive side of the football. He went after a Luther Burden in the second round, and he was
This is
going
your
to go
first
after
second
Trey
round pick.
Lance. Yeah, and
Mhm.
he was going to go after Henderson, Burden, and Loveland if they were all three there. So I'm saying, like, Ryan Poles has now done the things that he told
He
Caleb
put
he
his
was going
money
to
where
do.
his mouth is. He put his
Yeah.
money where his mouth is. But that's my point, Brandon.
But
If all
yeah,
those things
but
get done and then it still doesn't work, do you start to think like, oh yeah, maybe Chicago is just cursed for quarterbacks? Like if you're in Caleb Williams' shoes, like what else? Like they literally went out and
well,
got me these things that I felt like I needed and they felt like I needed, and it still didn't work. Are there any concerns about that? If like that, I feel like
my
that's the
my
worst case
concern,
scenario.
I already know where my mind will go if that happens,
What's up,
Dustin.
Jason?
Caleb's a pretty headstrong guy. I don't know where he's going to end up mentally if that occurs, man. But I'll say this: where my mind will go is another first time head coach fucking failed again. That's probably what I'll think if this whole thing falls apart, man.
And
I'll
if he
probably
failed, he failed Caleb Williams, Brandon.
yeah,
If
and
he
the
fails,
oh
he's
yeah,
failing Caleb Williams.
If Ben fails, the writing's probably on the wall for Caleb Williams, you know what, the writing's probably on the wall for Ryan Poles. And I'll say this, man, doesn't that mean alignment? Because if one fails, they all fail in this
Mhm.
situation, and that means it's time for a whole new fucking project. We're moving on from what we started, man.
Listen, I wasn't trying to put us in that mind state. I am just saying, like, I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I want to be clear. I do expect positive growth from this offense with the moves that they have made and the
Yeah, no,
Caleb
I
Williams being the
understand
quarterback.
why you
But
posed the question.
if it does happen that way, now you
The narrative remains.
the narrative stays the same, and us as Chicago fans get to continue to feel that same way. And then the next quarterback that the Bears have the chance to draft high has those same
What's up,
reservations.
Notorious?
And this cycle fucking continues, dude. That's the worst case scenario for all of us, man. And I don't want to go there, but it's just a thought that I have, and I wonder what Caleb's headspace will be like if that were to
Oh,
happen, man.
it's
Because
and
that's
it's a
tough.
responsible thought as a Bears fan. It's a thought we deserve to have because that's just what happens, man. No matter how excited you get, it's not like last season the drafting of Caleb Williams was the only season I've been duped. You know what I mean? Like I've had plenty of Bears seasons, Dustin, the last 20 years where I thought like this is different, man. They're gonna be they're gonna be a good football team. And
Mhm.
it just doesn't ever seem to go that way. But like you said, man, I think this is the first time we have a coach who can develop a good player in Caleb Williams. And that's exciting, man. And Dustin, I keep stressing this and I'm gonna continue to do it. Player
Notorious.
development. Player development is just something I haven't fucking seen in this city ever in my entire life. For my entire life, if the Bears draft a guy in the fifth round, in the back of my head, I'm like, well, he's done. That guy sucks. We're never going to see him. He's not going to play any quality minutes on the field. He's not going to play any meaningful minutes on the field. He'll probably vanish into the shadows, and we'll never hear of him again. He'll be a healthy scratch by season's end. I believe that this coaching staff can develop the youth on this football team into being better players. And that's the difference to me, man. And Caleb Williams is one of those guys as well. I think he will get better from where he was last year. And we just don't see that in this city a lot. We just don't. We don't see young players get better.
Jason Toy checking in on vacation. Door
What's
County
up,
is
Jason?
beautiful. Me and my wife went there 2 years ago. Yeah, Door County is a great place to visit. You know, nice Airbnbs out there, cool restaurants. The what's it? The cherry cider beers. Everything's cherry out there, and it's fucking delicious. I just remember the margaritas were awesome. Cool little towns to walk around in. Man, yeah, Door County is a hell of a place to check out. Notorious says he's going to put 500 on the Bears over. I don't. I mean, hey, man, good luck. The Vegas has got you right in the right spot there. It's gonna go on one win on either side of that, man. So I guess you
I
got
did my season.
50-50 chance.
I did my schedule. I did my season prediction. Was my way too early prediction. It could change, but I am at 9-8.
Yeah, and it could go at 8, 8 and 9 too, very easily. That's my point. And it's right at eight
Yeah.
and a half. He said, and Jason says, I got a different feeling about this year. I know I said that before in the past, but this year I have a completely different feeling. The Bears are going to surprise a lot of people. I am not saying that that's my feeling. I am saying that that's worst case scenario and just thinking about the fallout from that if that were to happen. I expect this offense to hum. Whether or not that leads to a bunch of wins this season is a different thing. But either way, I expect this offense to hum, and I expect Caleb Williams to have a great season. So that is not my feeling. That is just a worst case scenario that I'm pitching. Notorious going to Door County this year. Bizzo wants the Bears to have a season like the Cubs are having. That would be insane. That'd be a hell of a year in Chicago, you know. But the Cubs are on like this ridiculous tear that, like, I don't know how you could replicate that, man.
The cardiac Cubs. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be on that roller coaster ride with the Bears. Every winning games with like a minute left in the fourth quarter would be the equivalent of what the Cubs are doing, man.
Yeah, man. And listen, everybody in the chat, thanks for joining us. Jason is a name I have not seen before, Brandon. So I mean,
Hey,
thanks
he
for
was
joining
here
us.
last week.
That's
Thanks for coming
awesome,
back,
man. Yeah, I
Justin.
haven't been
Man,
here in a month.
we
So
appreciate you, brother. I'm
and I
glad you
just want
said
to
to join us again.
I just want to say, man, like if I ramble, it's just because I'm on very little sleep, got a newborn baby, just started back at work, so bear with me, guys.
And
Jason,
Dustin's had a lot of Bears talk to get off his chest. It's
dude,
been
I've
a
been
month.
jonesing to get out here. I've been watching you guys from and trying to participate how I could, making some shorts here and there, and I just wanted
Yeah.
so bad to get in. I had to jump in on Monday. I caught a little hell for that, to be honest, but it was fucking
I
worth it.
kind
That
of
was a
figured
hell
you
of a
would.
show. Yeah, I did, but I get it. Like I said, what are you saying here about Ben Johnson, Jason? What I've seen in Ben Johnson's coach staff and how they're on everybody's ass, I've never seen before. Yeah, the coaching staff is the biggest thing, and I think me and Brandon keep harping on that. The level of competition that will come out of this team because of the way this coaching staff approaches these OTAs and this training camp and practice, I think it's going to be a level of competition we have not seen in with the Bears for a fucking long time, man, since Lovie Smith, to be quite
Yeah,
like
and there's
just
been
them showing up to play and the best players being out there.
some concerns raised to the approach the Bears coaching staff is taking, guys, because there has been a lot of yelling. I mean, that's the one thing that's been reported the
I
most
fucking
from these
love it.
OTAs. But I want to remind everyone that this is the same roster that went public, very public last year in the middle of their season about calling their coaches out for undercoaching them and being afraid to call out the oldest player on the roster or the youngest. But you remember Martellus Bennett's like, these guys, I don't care if I'm 40 plus years old, put me on film, put me in front of the rest of the team and call
Hold
me
me
out.
accountable.
That's I
Hold,
want to see. Yeah, that's what we want to see from
bro.
these guys.
Coaches yelling, bro. In Pee Wee football in Zion, the ZBs. I had a coach call me fatty and tell me to go get another jelly donut. In high school, I had a coach that would grab my helmet and fucking headbutt me with no helmet on. This guy was bleeding from his fucking forehead. I had coaches kicking chairs in the locker rooms when we were getting our ass kicked at halftime. I mean, that's what you want as a football player, man. Honestly, this the shit that fires you up. The game is a fucked up game. You gotta be fucked up here to go out there and hit somebody. And the Bears need that, man. The Bears need that fire. The Bears need that accountability. And I think it's gonna produce awesome results for this team because, like you said, last year it's a you couldn't have a more stark contrast from last year's coaching staff to this year's coaching staff. And I think this Bears team needed it desperately. They needed a
Well,
fire lit under their
and
fucking asses.
and it's just as important to the players that they see the passion, the same passion they have for the game from the coaches that are coaching them, man. I mean, like if
Mm-hmm.
so Matt Eberflus was so dry, and I can't. This is there's no merit to this that I can't prove this, but you have to think some of those players thought like, does this guy give a shit? You had to think that
Even
idea
if you
existed
didn't
in
question
somebody's
him
head.
giving a shit, when you heard him talking in the locker room, because I heard him talking in the locker
It
room
was so
on oh my
uninspiring, man.
god, cringe, bro,
I
just
had to
cringe. Like you
turn it
had to just be
off.
thinking, like, dude, like, why the fuck is this guy even in this position? That's what I would be thinking if I was
I
a
had
player,
to turn
and I
to
think that's what they
Dustin.
were thinking.
His opening speech to the team when they first got together in Lake Forest. I had to stop watching it. I'm dead serious. I think I
Mm-hmm.
texted you about it. Like,
Yeah,
dude, I have to
yeah,
turn it off. I had to turn it off.
I felt
It's
the same way.
disgusting. I can't watch it, man.
But I
I
can't
mean,
get enough of Ben Johnson talking. I can't get enough, Brandon. Like
yeah, no,
everything he says.
and he's genuine as well, the same as Caleb, man. He's gonna tell you how it is. He's gonna give you, and the media loves him too. I mean, this
He's
guy's just,
detailed.
yeah.
He's no bullshit. He's no bullshit at all.
Is Dan Campbell loved him, and if Dan Campbell loves you, man, I that's a testament to me. If Dan Campbell's got a lot of good things to say about you, man, you're worth knowing for sure, man. So yeah,
I
I think Ben Johnson, guys, and Caleb Williams can change the narrative and will change the narrative, and I don't think we're gonna have that same gut feeling we had for the last 20 years in the middle of this season, man.
yeah, Jason, doing our work for us, man. Hit that like button, everybody in here. If you're not subscribed, what are you fucking thinking? You know, you want to get the notifications when we go on because you know you'll get conversation like this. So please hit that subscribe. Make sure that notification bell is on, and join us every time we come out here because we have a lot of fun and we'd like to involve you guys in the conversation as well, man.
Yeah, guys, throw some questions in here. Keep this conversation moving forward. We always love it when we find ourselves going down a different path because somebody threw something in the chat that we didn't expect to talk about. It's awesome, man. It really does help us, especially when the well kind of runs dry when it comes to football news. You know what I mean? And we did have an OTA, but can only do that so much, man. I will say this: a lot of injured players, Dustin. That's another thing that's kind of like that's the
Let's
news that
get
I'm
them out of the
reading.
way now. Let's get
Yeah,
it out of the way
yeah,
now.
and I'm sure it's precautionary, man. You know, we knew Colston Loveland wasn't going to be playing, man, but Luther Burden's been sitting out, and I did read this just before we started this show, man. Is Cole Kmet's been phenomenal, and in the absence of, yeah, Cole Kmet's been phenomenal in the absence of Colston Loveland. So, and we knew what Cole Kmet
Well,
was made of before the OTA, but
Cole Kmet is a pro, man. I just physically, he's not capable of what Colston Loveland's gonna be
no,
capable of.
no, of course
That
not.
was my that's what I've
He
said
was
about
never going to
Cole
be a
Kmet.
top 10 pick in an
He,
NFL draft. That's for
he's
damn
not a
sure.
guy who's going to get you yards after the catch. He's not a guy that's going to make those highlight catches, the 50-50 balls. I mean, Cole Kmet is solid. You can count on him. He doesn't drop the ball. I mean, it's just not really a comparison in terms of
And he's
athletic
and he's
ability.
and he's
In
a
terms,
100% effort. You know what I mean? And that is there's players that just don't do that all the time, man. Even when the Bears kind of started to shit on themselves last year, when you could tell the players were calling it quits, Cole Kmet was still out there throwing himself around. I think that
before,
he's 100%
yeah,
effort.
yeah. Cole Kmet is, and that two tight end tandem this year, I think is going. It'll be good because of that. Because Cole Kmet is reliable, and because Cole Kmet is a consummate pro, and Colston Loveland's going to bring that athleticism and that juice that the Bears tight ends have not had for years. I think it's going to work out really well. I want to highlight this comment, man, because I love this comment from Jason, and I can't thank you enough for making it, man. Says we talk about cool different stuff. Pods out there that he listens to get dry and boring clickbait shit. That's why he keeps coming back. Good
I,
job, for real, for real. Yeah, no, I feel the same fucking way, man. I feel
much
the same
love,
way.
Jason.
Yeah,
Much
thank you
love.
very
No,
much
and
for that.
and honestly, you hit the nail on the head there. And I'm not just saying that, like, not and I'm not, echoing what you're saying about us, but what you say about those other Bears podcasts. I come to find this, man, and Dustin, you do this too, and I know you do. We haven't really discussed them, but when you
Let's
go
do it.
and look through like 25 Bears podcasts in a day, right? And I don't mean like when you're watching them. I mean just look at the head, the thumbnail, the topic, what they're it's it's all the same thing because they feel as if like the OTA was yesterday. That's what they have to talk about. That you know what I
I
mean?
don't ever want to talk about that shit,
Me and you are always like,
man.
what was that thing we were texting about 2 days ago that was
Yeah.
pissing me off? Yeah, let's talk
Mhm.
about that on the show,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Because that's just how we roll, man. Like
Yeah,
we've
no,
been doing
Bears
this.
trade rumors and all this shit,
Yeah,
just to get people to click. And again,
yeah.
there's a place for it, but that place ain't here, man. We want to. I kind of like to think outside the box when it comes to how we're looking at this Bears team and what we think about bigger picture shit. I find that to be more fun conversation between you and I, Brandon, and also between the chat as well. So I mean, I appreciate you noticing that, Jason, and
Well,
bringing it up.
and we've said it time and time again. Does I don't want to report the shit that people can go fucking read on Google. I
I'm
just
not a
don't want to do
reporter. I mean, this. I'm going to give my
it. No.
opinion. If you guys like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. And tell me why, and that's cool, man. Thank you for
Yeah,
being here.
and again, man, we have met so many fucking cool. Like, in all honesty, guys, the people that like you, Jason Toy, like Notorious, Vizzo Joe, the guys that we meet in this chat, I thought, man, we were this like little tiny bubble of just the most overly obnoxious, passionate fans about the Chicago Bears in the world, and these guys come in here and throw the heat in the chat, man. It's cool, man. It's a cool community. It is. It's
No,
good to
yeah,
be a part of.
we wouldn't be shit without y'all being in here. Obviously, we'd just be talking to ourselves, which me and Brandon would do. We've been doing that for fucking 20 years, 25
Yeah.
years. How long?
Yeah,
Yeah,
as
we.
stale as that gets sometimes, we still do it.
Yeah, for sure.
As
We'd be
much as
doing
our
this either
wives
way.
might hate us for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just being on the phone, and my wife be like, "You
Yeah,
talking to your boyfriend?
we've
Talking to your
we've
boyfriend again?"
yeah, I've gotten that before. Yeah. We
But
appreciate that, Jason. Means a
yeah,
lot, man.
yeah. Notorious here. The elephant in the room is Kevin Warren. All smoke, shovels in the ground in 25? Question mark. I don't think it's smoke, man. I think that he's gonna get it done. I don't think he's gonna rush it. I think he wants to, but I think he's going to make sure he makes the best possible deal and the best possible setup for the Chicago Bears moving forward. And I think we can feel confident in that. He's done it in the past. His resume in that regard kind of speaks for itself. And I think Kevin Warren is going to get it done. He's going to get it done on the Chicago Bears terms, though, which is important for the Chicago
Well,
Bears because
yeah,
that has not been done in the
yeah,
past.
and I think Kevin Warren is going to do what's best for the Chicago Bears revenue, which I think is also simultaneously what's best for this fan base. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll do what's best for the bottom line, and I think that's going to be what the fans deserve most,
It'll
honestly. So it's
improve the
Kevin.
fan
It's going to be an
experience.
easy job
Yes.
for Kevin Warren because it works
Mm-hmm.
no matter what. If he does what he should, it's what's best for both parties, the Bears organization and
Mm-hmm.
the fan base. Because guys, Arlington Heights is where this team needs to go. They bought the property. No more being regulated by the city of Chicago because that's
Bears
ass.
land. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Seriously.
Let's have Bears
Theme
land.
park.
I
Yeah.
mean, it'll be the gift that keeps on giving because you improve the fans' experience, then they keep coming back and giving you the money,
Yeah.
and then you can take that money and put it more into the team, and like that's how it's supposed to work. Let's get all
Yeah. I'm
the beer,
envisioning like a Jurassic Park with live bears.
bro, just get the bureaucracy out of here. I mean, you obviously need it to get shit done, but I think Kevin Warren is going to get it done. I don't think that dude is smoke. I mean, is all smoke. If anything, I mean, I think he's very much about his business, and right now his business is the Chicago Bears, and I think that the Bears are going to benefit from that. That's how I feel about Kevin Warren. I know a lot of people are getting sick of hearing the praise for Kevin Warren, but I think it's justified, man. Personally,
Yeah.
I do.
He's like a kingpin from The Punisher.
From Daredevil.
Yeah. Daredevil. Yeah.
Vizzo
He's got that
Joe,
look on his face all the time, man. It's
yeah.
like he's just pissed off, man. But you know that's a guy that means business. You know, I mean, there's something else behind that.
Vizzo Joe says, I like the fact that Ben tells us straight up why players are not participating. Unlike Flus, it was like top secret information.
Oh,
Brandon
God.
mentioned the transparency. Yes, 100%. Brandon, this question here. What you guys think from Jason? How many games total will it take for Caleb and the Ben and the offense to start clicking with a pretty fresh new team? I mean, if you think about them starting the season against the Vikings, that's a tough draw defensively. You know, going up against a very strong defense, a very good defensive coordinator in Brian Flores. I mean, that's going to be a tough place to start, don't you think? I don't think they're going to. Do you think they're
I
going to hit
think
the ground running week one?
I think they're going to do the simple things well immediately, but I think the disguising and the you know the big plays that Ben Johnson obviously wants this team to be known for at some juncture of his tenure here. I think that stuff will take some time. I would guess, Jason, that they're diving pretty deep into this playbook towards the end of the season, a little past the middle, and their bye week comes, I think, pretty fairly early this year, so that's going to kind of throw a rock in this thing too. I think it's like week 5 in it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think, like I said, I think Ben Johnson is going to do a very good job, and he's going to make a very concerted effort to make the game as simple as possible on Caleb to start. And I think that will benefit this offense. Honestly, I think that
yeah,
that's
the play
smart.
action, the RPO stuff, you'll see
Running
that
the
come pretty
football,
early.
establishing the run, and that's going to be important. It's going to be tough to do against the Minnesota Vikings defense the first game of the season. I just got to say that. But I think that they
Yeah, which
slowly will
which
come
got
around.
extremely better this offseason.
I personally think that earlier buy,
Much
and
upgraded.
I brought it up to you guys, and like just to play devil's advocate, you don't like the early buy, but like for a fresh new team like this, and early on getting that buy to kind of get things in order, I think it could be good. I do because it gives Ben Johnson a week after getting a small sample size of what this team is capable of, and then really being able to take it to another level earlier on in the season. I think that could
Yeah,
benefit
it's a
this
positive
offense.
way of looking at it for sure.
To be
Might
honest,
pose some health concerns at the end of the road, but
well, there's health
you know,
concerns no matter what in the NFL, man. You guys, it's a bunch of car crashes happening out there. So, but I get what you're saying. And I feel like this coaching staff will make the biggest difference from this offseason. I, I, I think if you're talking about the Bears winning the offseason, and we've had too many off seasons that the Bears have won and then done jack shit on the football field.
yeah,
So let's
we're
just
always the best. We're always the best team in March.
yeah, let's take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, that I think that is the biggest deal. I think having an actual competent coaching staff in here that Brandon, you keep harping on it. Player development, bringing these guys along and showing them how to do it the right way, focusing on the details and knowing what your job is, and the competition that they breed. That every guy is going to be playing with their hair on fire, I think, throughout this season, regardless of if there are those injuries you were talking about, Brandon. The guys that step up behind those guys, I think will still. I don't think you're going to see the drop off in the level of play that we saw last year when guys went down. I think you're going to have a lot of guys fired up to play and trying to get an opportunity to get reps. You look at that running back room, Roshan Johnson there behind DeAndre Swift, Kyle Monungai, even Travis Homer. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are going to be chomping at the bit to get opportunities. So I feel like the injuries, if and when they do happen, it's inevitable. I don't think that they hurt this team as much because of what you're saying right here, Jason. The coaching staff that has been put in place here, and them just having everybody ready to go every week. I fully expect that from this team and this coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think Ben Johnson's going to have a very, 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 very strong next man up mentality when it comes to how he approaches the players that aren't going to be listed as starters on this roster. And like I said, man, time and time again, good football teams don't draft their fifth round, sixth round picks as starters. They make them starters over time. And that's what Ben Johnson's going to do here. It's the same as the Philadelphia Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Baltimore Ravens, the teams that we see consistently successful. They develop their talent and they do it early, man. They like you watch a guy get injured and the next guy comes in and the next guy's just as ready to play as the guy that was there before him. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
difference, guys. And that's what I was kind of alluding to earlier. Is it's just something we've never seen here in Chicago. When the Bears drafted a fifth round pick during all these previous tenure or all these previous regimes, it was like you just knew the guy wasn't ever going to be much. And I firmly believe, I mean, we've heard the stuff from OTAs about Trapillo and about Turner. I truly believe that this staff will get the best out of every player on this roster, no matter if it is just serving a specific role. They'll make them good at that. You know what I
At the
mean?
very least, they will know exactly what that role is, exactly what's expected of them in that role, and exactly what they need to do to be successful in that role.
Yeah.
I firmly believe that with this coaching staff, and that's going to make a world of difference for this football team. Notorious says, "Who has a bigger rookie year, Loveland or Burden?" You want to touch that one, Brandon?
I'm gonna go with Luther Burden. I think that and I'm not saying that one's a better player than the other. I think the wide receiver position has become a fairly easy position to transition to in the NFL. You're seeing a lot of success early on in receivers' careers because I think it's very similar to whatever it is. The same thing that you're doing in college kind of transitions to the field in the NFL. Tight end is something that takes a while for these guys to get their head wrapped around, man. Even the good ones. Tight ends don't often come into the league and just kind of hit right off the bat. Even a guy like Brock Bowers last year really started to come on strong. I mean, he came on quick, but started to
Yeah,
come on
he did. I
strong.
had him on a
He,
couple fantasy teams. He
he
did
came
not
on
really.
strong towards the middle of last season and really strong at the end, but even he took a little bit of time. I think that, and then you have the Loveland injury, man, and we'll see where that is by the time the season starts. But he did have surgery. I think he had something like I think his shoulder was like reconstructed, man. So I mean, that's something you got to keep your eyes on.
for for argument's sake, I'm gonna go the opposite way, man. And listen, nobody wanted Burden here more than me. I projected him to go to the Bears with that pick in particular. And I was really just trying to will it into existence because Brandon, I had Burden above T Mac throughout the process. I had Burden as the second best receiver in this draft behind Travis Hunter throughout this process. And the fact that he was going to even be a chance there was insane. I think Burden is going to be a better player than Loveland for his career. I think Burden is going to be a star in the NFL, and the slot position in Ben Johnson's offense is going to be a great place for him to feast. I just think his rookie season, it's going to take some time. When you look at the fact that Rome Odunze is there and DJ Moore is there, the opportunity for those targets, and I think that DJ Moore is going to get opportunity in the slot, and I think that Rome Odunze is going to get opportunity in the slot as well. I don't think it's just going to be straight Rome's on the outside, DJ's on the outside, Burden's in the slot, and that's how we're running it. It's going to be a lot of pre-snap motion, a lot of guys moving around, a lot of alignment changes. I think Loveland is going to get more opportunity early on. I'm not concerned about the injury. I think he's going to be
You
fine,
think
man.
so?
Yeah, I think
See,
he's going to be fine.
I think Burton might be involved in returns. I think he might
Well,
take some
that's
carries
different.
out of the backfield. He did that in the
That's
NFL. He did that
different.
in college. He carried the ball
Yeah,
as well.
I don't see him getting the target share that Colston Loveland will have the chance at, man. I think it's, once you see the difference between Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet, not to take anything away from Cole Kmet, it's just there's certain players that are up here and there's certain players that are like kind of just average and at that like replacement level. And I think that's going to show itself pretty quickly. Luther Burton is a hell of an athlete. He can house the ball every time he touches it. I think he's going to get his opportunities to shine. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to get involved in that offense, man. So I would say Loveland is going to have the bigger impact early on. Burden will have the better career. Burden will be a more impactful
So
player for the Chicago Bears throughout his entire career, and he's going to be a stud, man. It's going to take
we
a little bit of time.
split hairs on that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going Burton. You're going Loveland. So time will tell. Notorious. Notorious. What do you think? Who do you think is going to be have a
Well,
bigger rookie year?
Jason said he thinks Loveland, if Loveland's healthy, he'll have the bigger year. And then Vizzo points out Ben.
I think they are both going to be stars in the
Mm-hmm.
NFL. I do believe that. I think both of these players will be guys that get big contracts with the Bears and remain on this team for a long time because and I could say this, Dustin, they're really the first two Ben Johnson picks on this
Yes,
football team. So that's going to
they
make a big
100%
that's going to
are.
make a big difference for both those guys for
I'm
sure.
I'm just saying fantasy wise, man. I'm don't draft Luther. I wouldn't draft Luther Burton.
No, I don't know.
I think
Yeah.
Roma Dunze is
But I
in
think
for a I think Roma Dunze's in for a fucking huge year, man. And DJ Moore's still here. So it's just going to be hard to feed all of that. And Luther Burton's just going to have to work his way into it. It's going to take him a little more time just because the level of competition at his position is much harder to overcome than it is for Colston Loveland, man. That's the way I look at it.
I'll say this, man. Antoine Randall is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL, guys. I think he's going to potentially be an offensive coordinator at some juncture of his career. And I'm excited to see what he does with Luther Burden. And I don't know if it's going to be immediate, but in the long run, I really think he's going to get a lot out of that kid. That kid, he is loaded with talent, man.
Fuck yeah.
Loaded.
Burton is going to be
Both
a
these guys.
beast. Yes.
Both these
Loveland,
guys
though,
just loaded with talent.
what Jason's pointing out right here, he's got the hands, lots of talent. He's a big ass target. That I envision Loveland, and I said this from the beginning. I envision Loveland being the Bears' number one red zone target before this season's over. Pretty early on
Being the
in his
Bears, what?
career, number one red zone target, the guy that Caleb looks to in the red zone, and because he's going to be show that he can come down with those balls. I think he will end up being the number one red zone target for the Bears pretty early on in his career.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how Ben Johnson uses Colson Love when he's not your
Mm-hmm.
prototypical tight end. He's the kind of guy that the NFL. This is what the NFL is starting to lean towards, and we have never had it. So it's going to be cool to watch.
And I mean, Colston Love, all these guys really, man. I mean, Burden, I guess people had some questions about his character or whatever. I didn't. All of these guys are fucking dogs, and all these guys are smart, and all these guys are hardworking. It's a complete reflection of this coaching staff, Brandon.
Speaking of,
This draft they had was a complete reflection of this coaching staff. The guys they identified that they wanted on this team, smart, strong, hardworking dogs, dude. These guys
yeah,
are
and
they're not going to fail because of lack of effort. That's one thing I know for sure.
speaking of dogs, what Declan Doyle had to say about Colston Loveland after after rookie minicamp was pretty awesome. And he said, "This is the kind of guy that's going to keep pushing you after the whistle, and he's probably going to piss you off." I mean, I love hearing that,
Mm-hmm.
man. We don't have enough of them. Tyreek Stevenson kind of brings that element to this team, but I want those guys, man. I want those guys that can draw a penalty from the opposing defense. You know what I mean? The guy who's just going to keep poking at you and pissing you off. It's
Notorious
exciting
is
to
in
do.
agreement with you when he asked that question that he had the Burden answer in mind. Like I said, I love both these guys. I think you could see Loveland have the type of season Laporta had his rookie year in Detroit. I think he could potentially take the league by storm. I just think there's a little bit more work for Burden to do to supplant some of those guys and earn some more
How
targets, man.
much? I mean, I know that DJ will play in the middle, Dustin, but how much do you think? How much do you think Burns going to be fighting for in regards to snaps and the slot position? You got to think
I
he's going to take the bulk of that
I got it.
at least by
Listen,
the end of the year.
there will be a good combination of 12 personnel and 11, man. Like there's gonna be some slot stuff out there, and there's gonna be, two tight ends also. So it's just gonna be harder for him to get on the field as much. Loveland will be out there no matter what, and Loveland can go into the slot as well and create a complete mismatch against a nickel cornerback or a safety that you want to take advantage of if you're Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. So I just see there being more flexibility and maneuverability with Colston Loveland early on in this season, and I also think that I think Ben Johnson's going to want to get DJ Moore involved when it comes to that slot role
I
a good
guess it's a
amount,
good
man.
problem to have, man. Which
No,
rookie's
hell,
going to take more act?
it's a terrible problem for defenses to have. That's why I'm
Yeah,
so excited. The defenses are going to
and I
have
do think,
headaches going into these matchups.
and I agree with this, and I think Luther Burden's the kind of guy that might take a little time to learn, what Ben Johnson's going to throw at him. But I do think this. I think they're going to try to get the ball in his hands in simple ways, like a carry from the backfield, a wide receiver reverse, and end around, things like that. A bubble, or a screen. You know what I mean? Get some blockers out in front of him. The kid can burn.
There
I'm
will be
excited to.
plays.
Yeah,
You're
I'm excited to see how they utilize him early in their season if he's not up to speed when it comes to running routes and stuff like
Well,
that.
there will, and by all accounts, he's a great route runner, Brandon. I'm not trying to take away anything from Luther
No, I
Burden.
know, I know where you're
Yeah,
coming from.
yeah. But there will be plays where if he is getting those opportunities, Brandon, where you're going to see just multiple times throughout this year, he just makes everybody look fucking silly that's trying to tackle him. And
Yeah,
he's going to go to the
he's
house.
got. You know what, man, and you mentioned T Mac, and I like T Mac, you know that, and I like the
I
size
don't,
that he
but
has.
yeah.
I like his catch radius. I like the things that like the things that he brings to the NFL. Nobody, Matthew Golden maybe, but he's still not very well rounded, very raw.
Emeka Egbuka is a
Nobody.
guy. Emeka Egbuka is a
Yeah,
guy you
but
should
doesn't have the
compare.
same top end speed. Nobody has the things that Luther Burden has in this class, man. I really don't. I don't think so. I think that Luther Burden, the league is going to think to themselves, "Wow, we should have taken this kid when we had the
And
opportunity, man."
Notorious is saying right here, that's what Burden wants to show all those teams. You
Yeah,
should have fucking taken me.
yeah,
Burden should have been a first round pick. The fact that he fell into the second round into the Bears'
easily.
laps,
Yeah,
Jesus Christ. We're that this just those first two picks, man. They make just like the draft before. Those first two picks of the draft, they just kind of really. It's hard to get below a B plus when you get a guy like Colston Loveland and Luther Burden in the second round, dude. That's just the value. That's the
yeah.
biggest steal of the draft to me.
And I don't know how these seasons will go, guys, but I think we'll be able to say this to Packers fans when it's all said and done. You took Matthew Golden over Luther Burden, and that you're paying the price for that now. I think
I,
that's something that I'm going to take pleasure in saying to a couple of friends I have that root for that team up there. Right defenses will be guessing who's getting the ball. Yeah, and this is the thing too, man. Not on top of having all the weapons they have, Ben Johnson's probably the best guy in the league at hiding it, disguising it, and letting and not showing his cards. He's a chess player, and you never know what his next move's going to be. So that's what's terrifying too, because guys have already said it. Brian Flores said it when the Lions played the Vikings. He is a pain in the ass. He is. He makes things look like they're not, and
Make
it's
same things look different and different things look the
different things
same.
look
He
the
keeps
same.
saying it, right? And I mean, that's why you know that this was Ben Johnson's draft because of the Colston Loveland was 100% his pick. The Burden pick was 100% his pick. And that's what gets you excited when you're going into this season, right? Like you got Caleb Williams going into a second year. You got Ben Johnson in here who's going to be an offensive mastermind. And then you let him go get these tools that he didn't have when he came here and just
He's
you
got
start to imagine what he's going to be able to do with all of these weapons around a really supremely talented quarterback, and it's hard not to get excited, man. He's going to
yeah,
make
because
some defenses look really bad this year.
as good as that Detroit offense is, and as many pieces as it had, because I like Amon-Ra, I like Laporta, I like Jameer Gibbs. I think Jameer Gibbs might win Offensive Player of the Year next year. I think that he probably will. Honestly, I made a bet in FanDuel that he
Well,
will.
that's the one difference. That's the difference,
But
right? Jameer
but
Gibbs.
but I think there's
Yeah.
more here. I think there's
There
more here.
as we've talked about, the Lions never really had a third receiver that entire time. Never had that like really
And they
go
certainly
to
didn't have
third
two tight
receiver.
ends like the two they have here.
No, and but the difference is Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery versus DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson or Kyle. Like, that's a big difference because everything in Ben Johnson's offense in Detroit started with that run game. Everything.
Yeah.
The Bears
Yeah.
have to establish something similar to that if they want to win in the NFC North. You have to be able to run the football. I'm sorry, you might not want to hear it. Caleb Williams is your star quarterback, and you got all these pretty toys, but you can't play with them if you don't eat your vegetables. And you got to run the football. That's what that is. That's what that means. So
Yeah.
you still need to see it.
And Ben's gonna approach this with as much balance as possible.
Balanced diet. Yes, sir.
He's not gonna feed Caleb to the wolves. He knows that a good run game alleviates pressure off a young quarterback.
So this conversation kind of blends well into like what we want to talk about next, right? In terms of like, what is a successful season to you, Brandon, for the Chicago Bears in 2025? What does that look like to you? Because we had Notorious talking about he's betting the over on the 8.5. You said that you got him at 9 wins right now. Is it a win-loss threshold? Are you looking for certain things from these players like Burden and Loveland we're talking about and Caleb Williams? Like what
I
is this?
think
There's so many factors, right? But what's a
I think
successful season look like?
I think Ryan Poles would love for it to reflect in the record, but no, I don't think
He
that's
needs
what's
it
going
to,
to
yeah.
measure. Yeah, I don't think that's what's going to measure success here, Dustin. I think improvements are not small. They need to make great strides here, guys. They do. It's got to get better. This has been about as bad as it gets. I mean, others than maybe being the Cleveland Browns who gave, you know, Deshaun Watson $200 million.
And
We're
let
probably
Baker Mayfield walk.
we've probably had it just as bad here, man. I mean, it's been bad after that Hail Mary game, which the whole world watched. I mean, it got uglier and uglier from there. I think you just need to improve, and I think Caleb needs to look comfortable. Like you said, Dustin, that's what they spent this entire off season on. That's what they spent draft capital on. That's what they spent money on. They need to see their young franchise quarterback make improvements. And I'm talking, guys. I don't think I'm reaching too far for the stars here. I think you need to see the 4,000 yards, the throwing touch, the passing touchdowns, a really well balanced offense. But I think success comes in knowing that they're moving in a positive direction for whatever comes after that. You know what I mean? I think if you can finish that season, playoffs or not, thinking this team's gonna fuck shit up next year. You know what I mean? Like, because we don't have that mentality right now. Right now, we have.
Mm-mm.
I'm excited to see what this is gonna be, but I'm not gonna let myself buy into a Super Bowl season here, man. What I do want to see is that when it's all said and done next year, we're thinking, God, that is the start of something scary. You know what I mean? That is the
You know
start of
what that
something that the league's just not ready for, man.
you know what that makes me think of when you're talking about that? Kyle Shanahan's first year in San Francisco when he got Jimmy Garoppolo. That's what I really think about, right? And I think that was a 5-win season for the 49ers. It wasn't like they
Yeah,
were
no, his
in
first season was not a good record. Yeah.
they were in every game, right? And the offense, you saw what Shanahan was trying to do, and you saw like the the tenets of that offense and how they could work and what he was going to focus on a very creative run game and a quarterback that works on timing and they stayed in a lot of games and they gave a lot of teams fits, but it didn't produce a lot of wins to start. And I think I'd be okay with that, man. I don't know, like I would say if they're below 7 wins, the Bears this year, I might have a problem with that for sure. I want to see progress in the win column as well. I think that threshold for me is at least 7. But you want to see the offense clicking. When you hire an
Well,
offensive head coach, that's what you need to see. That's what you want to see. You want to see these weapons around Caleb get fed, and you want to see a balanced offense, and you want to see the Bears, staying in games, whether or not they win or lose, being competitive and making sure that team that they played knows they just played the fucking Chicago Bears. I think that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like, is a mentality established this year? Like, you come play the Chicago Bears, you're gonna fucking feel it the next day. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
the thing that I think will measure success the most for me, Dustin, and I'm going to say it again, and I've said it 100 times now, is player development. Are the guys like Shamar Turner, who you know are going to be important on this football team because it's not like they're super deep there. I mean, the young guys, even the guys on last year's roster like Karan Amagaji, are we watching players make strides? Are we watching players develop into pro starter caliber players? Are we watching this roster get deeper and deeper with the players who are already on it? That's what I want to see. I want to know by next year, not sorry, not this upcoming season, the one following, that like you are loaded with guys who can start on your football team because that's what the coaches got out of them. That's what I want to see. Player
The-
development to me will
yeah,
measure success
because
because
like how
we
often do
just
the
don't get it. We
yeah,
don't
how
get it
often do
here.
the Bears go out and make big signings in free agency and they fall flat on their fucking faces? Is Dio
Nate
gonna
Davis.
be yeah, there's Ryan Bates traded for. I mean, just in general, like I mean, even a Demarcus Lawrence, right? Or sorry, Demarcus Walker, for from the Titans when they
And
signed
then the
him as
draft
well.
picks too, Dustin. The
The
Roshan Johnson, Tyreek
Velus
Stevenson,
Jones,
the
Tyler
guys.
Scott
Well,
up to
no,
this
even
point.
even more importantly, like the Roshan Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson, two very good examples of guys who, by every measure and every scout and every analyst and everybody who reported, said these guys got it. They have the physical ability to play this fucking game. They're going to be really good football players in the NFL. But you always had in the back of your mind, like, maybe not here. You know what I
I
mean?
never felt
Because
that way about
we just
Roshan, to be
we
honest.
just don't. But the reports were, man, that he might have been the best running back in college football if he wasn't playing behind the best running back in college football. So you might be right. I don't
Well,
know.
that's silly.
I'm not a scout, man. But I'll say this: like the things
I'm
that I
not a
read about these,
scientist.
what I read about these guys is they were eventual pros in the NFL, and we just haven't seen it. Tyreek Stevenson just hit a plateau and hit a curb more like and tripped over himself. I want to see the guys that can potentially, like by all measures, potentially be stars in the NFL actually become them. That's what I
Well,
want to see in
that's
this football team.
that's what I'm kind of getting to. Like you go sign Drew Dalman and you trade for Joe Tooney and you trade for Jonah Jackson and you sign Grady Jarrett. These are you got veterans here that they should be able to prop up these young guys. Is Darnell Wright going to continue to develop? Is Dio and Montez Sweat that are they going to help Austin Booker get better? Is Grady Jarrett going to help Javon Dexter get better? I think the way that the Bears are approaching this, it's really smart because you not only have added this coaching staff that will help these guys develop, you've put players on the field with them that are going to be playing right next to them that can help them as well. Veteran guys that have been in tight situations before, that have played in big games in the NFL. Grady Jarrett better bring something to the table for Javon Dexter. Joe Tooney better bring something
Yep.
to the table
Those
for
two especially.
whoever
They've
your
been
left
doing this
tackle
for
is,
so
right?
long. Yeah.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's really smart what the Bears have done. And if I don't see how it doesn't work. I really don't. But if it doesn't, then
Real
yeah, I'm gonna be pretty
real
pissed
quick
off. But
before
I want to
Notorious
see Austin Booker go off this year.
Notorious says Kyle might get cut before the 58th. He's referring to Kyle Monangai. I think Eric Bieniemy loves Kyle Monangai. I think that's why he's giving him such a hard time. And I think that's going to be this coaching staff's entire approach to this football team. Dustin, is if you see something in somebody and you know it's just not there yet, but you can get it out of them, you're gonna push. You're gonna push him fucking hard. And yeah, he's been giving Kyle Monangai a really hard time, but he also, after every practice, when he's asked about Kyle Monangai, has nothing but praise for the dude. He said he's got
I
really
think
good
he
hands,
loves
and I
Kyle
don't know.
Monangai.
Yeah, he said he's got
Yeah.
really good hands, and I don't know why anybody didn't ever utilize this guy to catch the damn ball. And then he also said, well, then you heard Dan Rocher say that Karana Magaji is a phenomenal football player, and the Bears just didn't figure that out last year. So you're seeing these coaches, and then the Kyle Monangai thing, man. I think, like Dustin said, I think
Foster's with us,
Bieniemy
by the way.
looks. What's up, Foster? I think Bieniemy looks at Kyle Monangai's failure or success as his challenge. Personally, I
I
think he
think
does.
Kyle Monangai is Eric Bieniemy's pet project. I think he loves him more than anybody else in this running back room already, and I think that's why he's on his ass.
Yes, and he did say.
Anytime I had a coach on my ass, it's because they saw potential in me. I think he loves Kyle Monangai.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point I was trying to make. And then Declan Doyle
Yeah,
did say this. It's not Bieniemy, but Notorious Declan Doyle did say this when we're talking after walkthroughs and practices. Kyle Monangai is always right in the front. He weasels his way through people to get to the front, and he's taking physical notes, like pen and paper. He's taking notes. So I mean, this kid is doing the things that you need to do to make an NFL roster. And if it because right now you're talking about padded practice, you're talking about no physical contact. There's other ways that you can impress a coach. And from what I've heard, by all measures, that Kyle Monangai is checking every damn box. So I think the Bears are actually really enticed by what they might get out of this young kid because yes, he was a seventh round pick. He wasn't the top, 15 running back in his class, but he did lead the Big Ten, which is a running conference. Dustin, I mean, by
And a defensive
the Big the
defensive
Big Ten.
conference,
Yeah,
Brandon.
the Big Ten is the NFC North of college football, guys. When it
The
comes to
AFC North.
conferences,
Yep. Yep.
and this kid was in a bruising league, and he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and took the ball again, time in and time
There's
out.
no question that he will be
I,
on this roster, Brandon.
yeah, I
There's
think
no
the Bears
question.
are really
Yeah.
impressed by his motor as well.
Listen, again, I just think when you see Bieniemy targeting him like that, it's because he sees a lot of potential in him, and he wants to get the best out of him. And
Yeah, and you made a good
I think
point,
he's
Dustin. Your
going to. I
coaches,
think he's going to.
your coaches, when you were playing little league, and then when you're at any job, man, when a guy, when you're one of your superiors is pushing you, it's because he believes there's something more in you, and that,
And guess
you
what?
know what I
Yep.
mean. And
And
if you think
anyone,
the guy just sucks, you're not going to do that. You're not going. You're probably it's just going to be writings
yeah.
on the wall. You know what I mean?
And if you're that person being pushed and you think that guy is a dick or doesn't like you, then you're a fucking loser. And you're looking at it the whole wrong
He's
way,
doing right
and
by
you,
you. Yeah.
yeah, and you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail. I think Kyle Monangai and Eric Bieniemy are gonna have the perfect relationship to get the best out of Kyle Monangai as soon as this
Yeah, I
season.
can actually, and I can envision a moment where Kyle Monangai runs for his first touchdown, and that's the first person he fucking runs to on that sideline, man. I
Oh,
can see that.
he'll probably give him the ball. He'll
Yeah,
probably give him the ball.
it's
Watch.
yeah. Monangai's going to
Yep.
be a part of this football team, notorious. There's no doubt about that. And by
So
the way, when you watch the 1920 football drive, I mean, this is a guy that Ben Johnson liked as well. This was not just an Eric Bieniemy pick. This was a guy that Ben Johnson was pretty keen on once he knew he wasn't going to get one of his future third and every down back. This was somebody that he had on his radar. So they're not going to write him off before the season starts.
So my goal in this conversation, Brandon, when you texted me about what you wanted to talk about tonight, what I want to talk about tonight, or what we should talk about tonight, it was to kind of put this season in perspective because like this is the first season of an entirely new regime, and this is the first season. This is supposed to be the foundation. You're laying the foundation for what you're going to build on for hopefully the next 5 to 10 years. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to make sure that I myself and anybody who's listening to me it stays grounded in their expectations because I listen, you can't, is it possible, does it happen? Yes. And am I here for it? Fuck yes. If the Bears go out and win 10, 11 games and do what the Commanders did last year and make a run in the playoffs, I'm here for that shit, and I will love it. But if those are our expectations, we are increasing our chance of disappointment, and the odds are not in that favor. So when we're talking about what a successful season in 2025 looks like, it's laying that foundation for what the future is going to be. Like you said, Brandon, do you
Well
see
said.
like next year, the year after this upcoming season, do you see the potential? Do you see those guys developing, the guys the Bears drafted, and the young and Dio, a younger guy that they signed, and Austin Booker, guy they drafted last year, and Roma Dunze? Do you see these guys stepping up and the coaches developing these guys and building a culture and an identity, which the Bears have not fucking had for the last decade, at least? So, I
Yeah,
mean, that's what a successful season to me in 2025 looks like. If it's 6 wins, if it's 7 wins, so be it. If you see that foundation get laid and you see a culture and identity being established, then you see the Bears moving in the right direction. And that's a success to me.
yeah, and another thing, Dustin, that I can say we haven't had in some time that might measure success for some of us is I do truthfully believe this will be the first season ending after the 2025 year that I'm not calling for somebody's head. Because if it was fucking Matt Nagy or Matt Eberflus or Justin Fields or Mitch Trubisky or whoever or Ryan Pace, you know what I mean? It was always
Oh, dude, I was so
who
pissed when they
sucked,
extended
who
Nagy.
sucks enough
Oh,
to get fired now.
yeah.
So I think this might be the first time in a long time when a season ends. I am content with all the pieces we have moving forward. You know what I mean? Which is a big deal for us in Chicago, man. As sad as
Yeah.
that might come up, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
yeah, and I think we all have positive vibes, and I think that's the way we should keep things because it's easy to get down as a Bears fan. And like I said, we have already, there's going to be hate out there, man. But what do you truthfully believe yourself? Not even based on Ryan Poles is right. He wants to erase the past and look into the future. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do here, man. And I'm not going to, I'm with you, man. I'm not sitting here thinking this is a worst to first in our division or a Super Bowl winning team. But what I do think is you're absolutely right. They've already started to build that culture. They've already started to build that identity. And I hope that you're
Mhm.
100% right. By the end of this season, they have built that foundation. That was a good way to say it, man.
Yeah, man. And if you see that, then I think that you can have confidence as a Chicago Bears fan that you're seeing something you have not seen again since the early 2000s with the Chicago Bears team, where they're actually establishing something that they can build on and be competitive consistently for a years long span. You know what I'm saying? We might want the quick fix, but that's just not generally how it works in the NFL, man. It's
No,
your
and you don't
first year.
want that Matt Nagy season,
Mhm.
that coach of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
year, that 12-4, where you were like, man, I can't believe we're here. And the reason you felt that way is because they shouldn't have been, because they weren't that good. They had a
Well, that
cakewalk of a
defense was
schedule. But
Vic Fangio.
yeah,
Vic Fangio did an
yeah.
awful lot to get them there, man. That defense
Yeah, and
was
Eddie
really
Jackson
fucking
and
good.
Eddie Jackson somehow played one good year of his career. I don't know what happened with that, but I think you're right, man. I think no matter how long this takes, if it means long term success, I'm willing to wait. We've waited long enough, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
So
good
I mean,
God,
like,
man.
yeah. So I mean, that quick fix will feel good, and shit. You say we don't want that 12-4 season. I'll take it. But like,
Of course.
as long as it's sustainable, as long as you see that they are building
Yeah,
towards
we're
the
starved,
future.
man. We
Yeah.
deserve to have that team that competes year in and year out. The team that everybody else gets fucking annoyed by, like the Chiefs, man. Like, oh, they're there again. I want to be that football team, man. I want
And
to be
that
that
goes back
football team.
and that goes back to what we started talking about at the beginning of the show. Is Caleb the man to do that? Is Ben Johnson the man to do that? Because if you look at those teams that have that, it's it's that head coach and it's that quarterback that nobody can keep up with. No matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they still find a way to win. And so that's the biggest question, right, for Chicago and Chicago Bears fans. Is Ben Johnson that guy? Is Caleb Williams that guy? And is that perfect marriage to find something like that dynastic type of shit that you're looking for in the NFL when you draft a quarterback and when you hire a head coach? And I mean, right now we have that hope, so we can have that and have fun with that, but you do want to see the results on the football field, Brandon. So like I get what you're saying, but again, I'll say it again. If this is a 7-win season, I'll be happy if you see guys developing and you see guys moving in a positive direction and you see Caleb Williams progress this year in terms of his offensive production, in terms of his body language, in terms of his leadership with the Chicago Bears team. Like there's a lot of things you can look for to find success in this season for the Chicago Bears that don't center around wins and losses in my mind. And that's kind of
Well,
why I wanted to bring this up.
and two things, and you've said them before, Ed. How stoic can Caleb be even when things go wrong? I mean, just look it in the face and deal with it and move forward, man. And then
Hmm.
Ben Johnson, more importantly, Dustin, we were in such a unique situation with Matt Eberflus where we were literally watching him lose foot. I mean, this doesn't happen a lot, man, where you can say after multiple games in a season, the coach did something at the end of that game to fucking lose it. I
It's like
can't
watching a
believe how
car
many
accident.
times
Yeah.
it's like watching a fucking cartoon. Like it's not even real. And then you get to hear where you have Ben Johnson now, and I'm just thinking to myself, yeah, maybe we don't shouldn't expect a 10-win season, but I want to say this: in every game that they're competing in, and they're there at the end, it's come down to the wire. I need to see that Ben Johnson's making the right decisions to put this team in position to win, and that not once can I ever say we lost that fucking game because of him. That will be the difference to me as well when it comes to how do I measure success. Do I look at Ben Johnson like, hey, win or lose, he made the right fucking call? You know what I mean?
Listen, hey, look, the one thing Ben John here when Matt Eberflus was hired, that what should have been what was a huge red flag to me were his coaching hires. Luke Getzey, Alan Williams. Who the fuck are these guys, and why is he surrounding himself with them?
Yeah, and then
Ben
two of them
Johnson,
got fired for God knows what.
Ben Johnson has surrounded himself with elite coaches, with a lot of experience, and the ones that don't have experience have a lot of fire. And he's surrounded. He's also hired a very veteran game management person. I'm blanking on their name, but he's got game management people that are veterans in this league too. He has surrounded him. He has done everything he needs to do to make his job as easy as possible. And he is a guy who's smart enough to know what he doesn't know, and he's going to let these other guys do their jobs. I feel confident in that. I really do, man. I really do. I believe that if Ben Johnson were to see Declan Doyle is ready to call plays, he'd have no problem giving that up. Whereas a guy like Matt Eberflus, he saw him calling defensive plays as the only way he could show his value. I think Ben Johnson is comfortable enough in
And
his
then
own skin to let these guys do their jobs.
and then Ben Johnson did something else that I'm sure we all appreciated is Dennis Allen, as failed as he might have as a head coach, he was a head coach. And it doesn't hurt when you're a new head coach to have a guy on your staff, especially a guy as important as your defensive coordinator, who's been there and fucking done it, man. I mean, that's
Yeah. Who was that
another
guy for Matt
just another
Eberflus?
tool in his belt. Oh no,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
nobody. He
Nobody.
was
There was
looking
no one.
and what's even worse is he was looking around to people when those moments came, Dustin, where he needed to make a call that might decide the game. He was doing that whole like, and everybody else was like, "It's fucking you, man. Like, what are you
Well, that's
looking
what
for?"
that's what happens when you hire a bunch of yes men. When you hire a bunch of people that, if you're afraid to lose your job and you hire a bunch of people that aren't competent enough to take it, you've already lost. Ben Johnson has hired a bunch of dudes, like you said. Antoine Randall L could become an offensive coordinator. I really believe in a lot of this coaching staff. That, I mean, Eric Bieniemy at one point could have been a head coach. Dennis Allen has been a head coach. You always felt like there was a fear with Matt Eberflus of not being that guy, that top guy, or the smartest guy in the room. I don't. I think Ben Johnson, when you're truly intelligent, again, you understand the things that you don't know. And Ben
Well,
Johnson has insulated himself in that regard much better than Matt Eberflus ever did, and that's what cost Matt Eberflus his job.
yeah, not just
Not surrounding himself with those people that he could lean on when the tough times happened.
and now that you say it, man, we might have two of the best potential candidates for promotions at the end of this season. I mean, I think Al Harris, after coaching Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs, and then he's going to go to James or Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Steve. This could be another guy who's in the running for a defensive coordinator
Al
position.
Harris,
And you're right, man.
I love him.
He has hired he's filled his staff with guys that could potentially maybe not take Ben Johnson's job, but will potentially move up in the NFL world, and that's a great thing to do, man. It's a great
Ben,
fucking thing to do.
Ben Johnson is confident enough in himself to not be scared by making those types of hires. And he showed it in his first year before he's even coached a fucking NFL game. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just that gives me an amount of confidence that I haven't had in a Bears head coach in a very long time. To surround yourself with a bunch of guys that have all of this talent on your coaching staff, and it's going. I don't see how it doesn't work. Again, I don't know that it's going to produce a 10-win season this first year, but I think they're in it to do the work. They're willing to do the hard work and learn from their mistakes and their failures, and they're going to get better. They're going to just slowly get better until they're consistently competitive, man. And I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm here for that too.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. And I think that's going to be another way that we measure success by the end of the season too. Is like I said, are these coaches impressing you? Is just the same as these players, man. Like, well, we're not wondering at the end of a game like we did last year, how could the coach have screwed that up? You know, what I mean, like
Mhm.
it's things that you and I, Dustin, we're not fucking NFL coaches, and we knew that the obvious answer was there in front of you. So
In the moment, it's not like armchair quarterback. It's not like, in hindsight. It was like watching a car accident, and like I would turn away from that. I would you put
yeah,
a brake here. You
divert. Yeah,
Yes,
that's
no, you just drive straight into it. That's what it was like watching Matt Eberflus in those situations. I Ben Johnson's going to have learning moments, man, but I don't foresee failures to that level on in that highlighted. I don't see that happening because of the decisions he's made up to this point already. He's very meticulous in his decision making.
Yeah, and I think he's a
There's
guy.
no way he's going to get to a point in the game that's a crucial point in the game and not have already had the five scenarios played
Yeah,
out of
yeah.
which
I was
way it
gonna
can
say,
go.
yeah, he's gonna be a guy who's got answers before the problem poses
Exactly.
itself. Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that'll be another way we measure success. So yeah, I think there's a lot of ways, Dustin, outside of just a winning
Hmm.
record or how many games you won. There's a lot of ways to feel better about this team going into the 2026 season for sure.
Hell yeah, man. And it's exciting. And again, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. There's a lot of work that needs to get done. But I also just want to make sure that like we continually do this thing where we get our expectations way up here and we don't see the bigger picture. The big there's a whole thing at play here, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done to establish this team and this city to be what they should have been for years. This is years of ineptitude that have led us to this point. So to expect it to just be fixed like that, like I don't have that expectation. I just don't. And that's just not the way things work. You know, if anything good in life, you got to work hard for it. And it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes grit. And I'm just looking forward to the Bears showing that on a week to week basis because I
Yeah,
haven't seen that.
and I guess that's just another way to validate that I feel like they've got the right pieces finally, man, is like I'm okay with waiting. Because
Hmm.
I want this to work. You know what I mean? I'm okay with this being a longer process than most fans. You want that immediate satisfaction, and it's 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 just not something that if this team takes a year, maybe two to get where they're in an NFC Championship game, competing for a Super Bowl. If it's something that they can sustain for long term, I'm all right with that, man. We've
Yeah,
waited
man.
long enough.
In life, if you're confident with your partner and if you're confident with your abilities and if you're confident in the people you surrounded yourself with, when bad things happen, you weather it better. You know, you stay focused on like the end game, you know. Whereas if you're not confident in those things, you get anxiety immediately. You make bad decisions, panic decisions, reactions in the moment, and lose
Yeah,
sight of that bigger picture.
that snowball effect starts, man.
Hmm.
And that's what
Yeah, for
this
sure.
that's what this
And we've all
organization's
been
about.
in yeah, and we've all been in those situations in our own lives, one on either side of it, you know, and it really comes down to are have you done the right things? You can't skip steps. You just can't. There's a process you got to follow, and if you have that process in place, then you can always fall back on that. You know what I'm saying? So like you're saying, the Bears have laid the groundwork for like having that process and having those principles to fall back on. Where I haven't felt like they've laid that kind of groundwork in a very long time, man.
No, and I think the accountability.
Thank you, Notorious.
This,
Enjoy Tahoe, bro. Enjoy Tahoe.
thanks, Notorious. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. We appreciate you.
Hell yeah.
Please hit that like button, man. Yeah, and
Hit
I
it
think
twice.
and I think that unlikes it. Don't do, don't do that.
Hit it three
Think
times.
that yeah, hit it 3 times. And I think that accountability, Dustin. I think like when you watch last year after that Hail Mary pass, you watch the players kind of start to quit. And they don't buy it anymore. And I think the accountability, putting that much accountability on the players, like these coaches are doing
Mhm.
right now, how they're going to do this and impose this for the rest of this Ben Johnson's tenure, it alleviates that giving up when
Bro,
things turn bad. Is they're going to hold themselves just as accountable as they do the coaching staff because the coaching staff's going to hold themselves just as much as accountable as the players.
there could not be a better example of what I was just talking about, Brandon. Like you felt the life go out of that team when that happened. And if
Yeah,
you
that's immediately
have
what I thought about when you were
uh-huh.
saying that. You know,
Yep. And
this
if you
just
have those principles and you have that process and you have that plan in place, that shit doesn't happen when something bad happens. It just doesn't. Whether it's in life, whether it's on the football field, whatever it is, that does not happen if you have things to fall back on, your principles and your morals and your and the things that you've put in place to deal with those things when they happen. Those clearly were not in place.
no,
And that's the best example you could
no.
give.
This
Yes.
if this Ben Johnson team loses in that fashion, they'll come out even stronger the following week. I have no doubt about that, man. That's for
Mm-hmm.
damn sure. I did
Oh,
I
hell.
did drop some headlines or deadlines if you wanna dive into that, man.
Yeah, man, let's do it. I feel like we've had some damn good conversation. That's a good way to close it out, no?
Yeah, good to have you
Headlines,
back.
deadlines.
This
Yeah,
was a
man.
good one.
Fuck yeah. I've been missing it so much. I've had all this pent up.
It's good to get it out, man.
Yeah, man.
And then your wife doesn't have to hear about it. Sometimes I find myself talking about the Bears to Tiana. I'm like, what the fuck am I
Oh
shitting
no,
shit?
I know better. I don't really do that.
It's cute though, man. She tries to hear. I'm like, what is the deal with Caleb Willis? Like, you try. You know what I mean? All right, man. Headlines or deadlines. These are all Bears related. I only wrote five, but I like them. We'll see where this goes.
I like them.
Guys, headline could be printed today. Deadline, it's asked. Dustin, the same as Caleb will change the narrative regarding Chicago QBs, George McCaskey will change the narrative regarding Bears ownership.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Uh,
Damn
I
right,
mean,
man.
listen, if I'm looking at the evidence that's in front of me, the recent evidence, and maybe it's recency bias, I'll say headline. George has made a concerned effort to change around the way that he has done business. I mean,
I
we've been
agree.
saying that for since they fired Matt Eberflus,
Yep.
and I mean, and since they fired Shane Waldron, like just the things that they've done, like he's like this shit's not acceptable. That we have to be better,
I know
and
he's been
that
a
has
boss. Yeah.
yeah, man. And that has all led to where the Bears are right now with these good feelings we have with the offense that's on that the offensive weapons we have and the coaching staff and shovels in the ground, hopefully, in Arlington Heights and all those things. Like that's all very different than how Bears business has been run for the last, 30 fucking years, as long as I've been alive, man.
I'm gonna say headline too, man. I
Yeah.
think that people are gonna be saying good things about George McCaskey in a couple years from now. But you shit on my next one, I think. But
No, we'll see.
Kevin will have shovels in the ground by this year, which is what he said he expects.
No, notorious shit on that earlier, way earlier in the show when he asked that
Yeah.
question. I think listen, I'll say headline because I think he wants it done, and I think he has a lot of it in place already. But I mean, there's so much red tape with this shit, man. So it's like again, as I said before, I don't think he'll rush it to get a bad result. I think he will make sure that he gets the best deal possible for the Chicago Bears. So I won't be surprised if it needs to be held off longer in order to make that happen. But I'll say headline. It feels like there's a lot of momentum moving towards Arlington Heights, and I think Kevin Warren has done all the groundwork to get it done, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna say headline too, because whether or not there's any merit to it, if the shovels don't hit the dirt, his credibility is going to be on a teeter, man. That's for damn sure. He's going to have to
Mhm.
start to worry about whether or not, not just by fan standards, man. He's going to have to start worrying about how much he's getting done. How accountable is he over himself? That's for sure. All right. Next one. This one's kind of simple. I think you should be able to answer. I think you'll have this answer in your head already. I'm sure you did since all this was put together. The Bears' offense will rank inside the top 10.
Ay, ay, ay. I don't have that in my. I mean, listen. I've been out. I was out when the schedule release happened. So it's like I've got it in my head, man, that I expect this offense to
It's a
be
rough
much
schedule, man.
improved. It
It's a rough
that's
schedule.
the thing that you got to come back to. And then when you're talking about Notorious going and putting $500 on the over for the Bears this season, the Bears have an extremely hard schedule.
It's a
They
gauntlet
have
of a
they have
schedule.
10 games against playoff teams from last year on this schedule. They have back-to-back games against the Ravens and the Bengals on the road. They have the Niners, who will be competitive
At the
again this
Eagles
year.
on the road.
Now, dude, it's just there's a lot there's a lot going on there. Like I said, 10 matchups against playoff teams, and then you got the Niners and the Bengals, who like are going to be competitive teams again this year. So I 12. I'm gonna say deadline, man. Listen, I think if you have a top 12 offense and a top 14 defense, you're competitive. I mean, that could put you in that 8 to 9 win range. which is probably where I see the Bears falling at best with that schedule, man. Everything you talk about with the Bears in terms of their record this year, man, in terms of their production, in terms of what
You
they're
got
able
to
to
have
accomplish,
context.
you gotta add that context of that schedule. That this is a gauntlet that they are running through. It looks like the toughest schedule in the league to me when you look at it, and
It's
I guess it's
brutal.
the second or
And like
third,
you said, it's not
depend.
just the teams they play; it's the way it's drawn up, man. It's just not.
Hmm.
There's no good way of looking at it if you're a Bears fan.
Yeah, man. So like I'll say deadline on that, and I'll hope I'm wrong. What do you got?
I'm going to say headline. I'm going to say headline
Hey,
because I think Caleb gets this thing. I think he gets his head wrapped around this quickly, and I do expect Caleb Williams to retain a top 10 offense in the future of his tenure. I really do. I think he's going to be a special player, probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and those guys always seem to have their unit up there ranked at the top.
Caleb will have a top 10 quarterback season, but the running game I still have concerns
It
about.
scares the shit out of me, man.
I still have
We could do a
concerns
whole.
about.
We could do next week's podcast can be about that because
Yeah, yeah.
that terrifies me, to be honest with you,
And
man.
I love DeAndre Swift, man. And I love the improvements they've
Yeah,
made to this offensive line.
but
But
DeAndre Swift serves a role, and you're
mm,
concerned about the other one.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And the Bears weren't able to address it in the draft in the way we wanted it to. So
No,
that concern still exists. So yeah, I mean,
and
just
it
I think
clearly did for them. You
yeah,
know,
because they wanted to address it.
yeah.
They
So,
yes, yes.
all right, headline or deadline: Ryan Poles will win Executive of the Year.
I gotta say deadline because I feel like to win that, like your team's gotta have a winning season. And I'm
I don't
not
know.
gonna be
I didn't look into that. I wonder. I wonder if.
I mean, yeah, I feel like you got the moves you make have to lead to results on the field to win that kind of award, man. Just
Yeah,
like
I
for the
guess that's
GM
true.
of the year, just like for the coach of the year, like anything, like the results have to be there. And as I was just saying, man, I expect this to take a little bit of time, and I expect this to be like in that 7 to 8 win range this season. So there's gonna be guys that have done more that are gonna be considered more highly for that type of award. I think it's not based on what the offseason who the offseason winner is. It's based on the regular season. So I'm gonna say deadline, man.
Yeah, I'll probably go with deadline as well, man. And I think, unfortunately, for all the GMs that had really quality drafts, like the Atlanta Falcons and the New England Patriots, I just don't think it's going to be enough for any of those teams to improve greatly enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, listen, you talk about GM and the GM in Tampa. That's a guy that could be seeing that type
Yeah,
of
see,
award. Like,
yeah, their offensive coordinator was an internal promotion. We'll see how that works out, man.
yeah, listen, I would have to be picking the Bears to win at least 10 games to say Ryan Poles will win that award as the
But
GM of
my
the
God,
year.
man, those two units that scare the living hell out of me in the NFL this upcoming season is the New
Hold on,
York
did you
Giants.
say executive of the year? Isn't it GM of the year?
No, I Googled that to make because I
And
thought GM of the year was a thing. So I Googled it, and the guy who the Vikings GM won it last year, and he won the Executive of the Year award. Um,
interesting. They must have changed that recently because I remember Ryan Pace when Ryan Pace won it. It wasn't it GM of the
GM,
year? Like,
it might have
yeah,
been at that point, but
hmm,
just because you said Bucks, man, the Bucks wide receiving core and the New York Giants defensive line scare the fucking hell. I mean, man, those two units are it's like you had Jalen
hmm.
McMillan, you added Emeka Egbuka. It's scary, man.
Still got
Um,
Mike Evans. Yeah, he still got
and
Godwin. Like
Chris
that. Yeah,
Godwin's coming back. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's
it's kind of
crazy.
frightening. Um, headline or deadline: Roshan Johnson will lead the Bears in rushing yards.
Rushing yards, deadline.
Rushing.
Yeah, deadline. Not even close. No way.
You think Swift will lead in rushing?
I think if you would have said Roshan Johnson will lead the Bears in rushing touchdowns, I'd say headline. You're
Really?
saying
I'm thinking
rushing
Monangai.
yards? No, no,
I think
no.
Monangai might lead in touchdowns.
I,
I don't know.
I think listen, when you watch them in OTAs right now, it goes DeAndre, it goes Roshan, it goes Homer, and then it's Monangai. He's your fourth running back right now. He's gonna have to do a lot of work and do it really well to supplant Roshan Johnson for that role of that short yardage back. I think Roshan Johnson's gonna get the first crack at it. And if he holds it down, he's gonna keep it. If he performs well enough. And we've seen if there's one thing he can't do, he can fall forward for a yard into the end zone. Like Roshan Johnson
Well,
can
I
do
think
that.
they're gonna.
But he is not a breakaway runner. He will not lead the Bears in rushing. No fucking way. That's
I think
DeAndre
Ben's gonna
Swift.
try to emulate somewhat what he did in Detroit, man. And but those guys got a pretty split carry. I don't know. Like I think David Montgomery actually led the Lions in rushing yards, and
Are
Gibbs
you
led
really
the
going to compare
all-purpose.
Roshan Johnson to David Montgomery though? I
Uh,
don't think it's I don't
I,
think it's
I
comparison.
think
I
they're
mean, even
both.
David
Neither
Montgomery in
one of
his
them. Neither one of them
no,
impresses me all that much. Up
David
front.
Montgomery was much more impressive in his first 2 years in Chicago than Roshan Johnson has been. It's not even close.
Yeah, that might be
It's
by
not even close.
like the people leading the team, though. I don't know. We'll see, man. I think Roshan's going to play a pretty big role. I don't know if he's going to
So did
lead.
you write that because you think that that will happen?
I think that he's going to. I think him when it comes to run. I'm talking about just rushing. I think he's going to be close to Swift's mark. I do.
I don't know, man. I could see Swift getting 1,000 yards.
That's right. I infiltrated your phone, Jason.
Hey, hey, Google.
Hey Siri.
Yeah.
All right.
How do
So
you make a bomb?
last.
Hey, Google. How do you make a bomb?
Oh Jesus. All right. Last but not least, man. I think no, that was it. That was all five. Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that
Yep.
was all five.
But definitely least. Did you give your headline deadline on that last one, Roshan? You didn't say. You
No, I
didn't give
didn't
an
put too
answer.
much thought. I'll say deadline. It's gonna be weird. I have Dustin. Like I said, we'll make this the next week's topic because
We'll see. Yeah.
that rushing attack.
I have not given up on DeAndre
I
Swift,
don't
man.
love it, man. I don't love it. I don't love it one bit.
I think people who have doubted DeAndre Swift are in for a rude awakening once they see him in Ben Johnson's offense, man.
But what terrifies me the
Yeah, but
most
yeah, but yeah.
is a guy who clearly doubted DeAndre Swift's abilities was Ben Johnson when he allowed him to fucking leave the team he
Well,
coached.
I mean, when you have an opportunity to upgrade a position, then you should go for that. And
Which
that
clearly means you felt like the position could have been upgraded.
Yeah, but yet and still, DeAndre Swift had 1,200 total yards last year, and he had 1,000 yards the year he went to the Eagles, rushing. And you could see something very similar to that, him hitting that 1,000 yard mark in rushing and getting 400 or 500 yards receiving this season in a
Yeah,
Ben Johnson
he
offense. If he can
could.
get 1,200 yards in a Shane Waldron, Thomas Brown, Eric Beatty offense, he can't
I
get
have a
1,500
strong
in Ben
feeling though.
Johnson's.
I have a strong feeling, man, that DeAndre Swift will not be on this football team beyond next season. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Something just in the back of my mind
Well,
keeps
here, I
telling me.
mean, even if he has, let's say this, even if he has a successful season in Ben Johnson's offense, I mean, are you going to pay him another 8 million a year to keep him? Are you going to
No,
pay him
and is
10
Ben
million?
Johnson going to have the same mentality, even if DeAndre Swift has a good season, that we could upgrade? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, like
Got him
running,
again.
running, running back, running. I'm trying to get him in trouble with like CIA or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
FBI.
That's pretty fucked up, man. Yelling out assassination attempts over the phone.
Running backs that are getting that up there in age. If DeAndre Swift were to have an awesome season this year, I don't know that the Bears would be inclined to pay him either way. So you might be right about that, and he still has a damn good season. So I mean, both
Yeah.
things could end up being true, Brandon. But I mean, we'll see. I haven't given up on DeAndre. I was really high on him last year,
I'm
and
not giving up on
that
DeAndre
kind of
Swift.
bit me in
I
the
love.
ass.
I think of the role he plays. He's one of the best in the league at it. I just don't think. I mean, we know it, Dustin. You already know he's not that 3 down back. He's not, and I don't know that the Bears have that guy in their football team, and that scares me, man. But it's like
Well, that's
that's
what the committee's
a
for.
pretty important piece.
That's what the committee's for. Listen. I've said before. I don't think Kyle Monunga is a 3 down back in the NFL. I don't think he
No,
even turns
I
into
don't
that.
think
No,
Roshan is. I don't think DeAndre is.
Roshan
I
is
don't think
clearly not.
Kyle is.
Roshan is overrated to me, man. But again,
I
like I
don't know
said,
if
he
Ian
could
Wheeler's
do.
going to make this roster.
I don't know that he
I
will
like
either,
the
man.
Hankins kid, man. I like the kid that's been seeing in the OTAs. That kid's
He's
a
the fifth
big,
running back
that's
right
a
now. Yeah.
big kid, man. He's big. That's a big boy.
I mean,
Oh,
it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I think Ben Johnson will get the most out of the committee. So, I mean, maybe you see it spread out a little more, but the Bears are still able to have a decently successful rushing attack. But if you are going to have a question about one thing on this offense, not clicking as well as you would like it is definitely the running game going into the season right now, Brandon.
Yeah.
I just bank on Ben Johnson's creativity in the run game and his willingness and want to commit to it because he understands that that's how you run a successful offense. It has to come off of that run. So I think that he will lean heavy into it. So hopefully it has good results.
They have a player who's good in open space, and they have a player who's good at gaining those few extra yards. They don't have the guy who can create his own open space and get, you know what I mean? Like the guy who can
Yep.
get through the tackles and take the ball all the way to the house. They just don't have that piece on their football team, man.
Well, when DeAndre Swift had his season in Philly where he did hit that 1,000 yard rushing mark, he did lead the league in yards before contact. So that is clearly something he needs to be successful. And I think that the Bears had that in mind in terms of addressing this offensive line this season, this offseason as well, man. So I mean, if you are giving him that offensive line that will create the length and the space for him to where he's not getting hit immediately, because like you're saying, he's not going to create it in the backfield for himself or find it's got to be
No.
there for him. If you have that, then you could see DeAndre Swift really have a successful season this year, man.
Let's hope, man, because like you said, it's gonna be this offense is gonna hinge on balance, man. So
Yep.
there's the
And
hope
and
in it
play
for sure.
yep. And Caleb Williams' success is really going to hinge on play action. It really is. That's going to be
Yep.
a big part of his season this
RPOs
year.
too is something you'd like to see a little
Hmm.
more of.
Yeah.
Anything else, man?
Oh, bro, not really. I'm not on very much sleep. My newborn might still be awake, so I gotta go check on that. But I mean, this has been a fucking blast. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Notorious, Jason, were very
Yeah.
active.
Jason,
Foster
thanks for coming
joined.
back, man. Notorious
Yeah,
as
hell
always.
yeah.
Foster, love you.
Vizzo
Appreciate you.
Joe, don't want
Great
to
show
forget
tonight,
him.
Foster. I watched their show tonight. It was pretty awesome.
Oh, fuck yeah.
As always, yeah.
Amphioris checked in before the show started, so I want to give him a shout out. Amphioris is usually
He
with
was
us.
in their chat and he said what's up
Yeah.
to me. So yeah,
No, nice. Shorty was in here as well, and Shorty, seriously, man, I mean, if you're watching on a replay, I'm sure you went to sleep by now. Um, I'm down to go to
Sammy's it is.
I'm down to go to Sammy's, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah.
I love their get a burger and a shake. Have a cheat
Regardless of
day.
where we go, we are certainly getting up, Shorty. We will be seeing you in person next month for sure. Dustin, let's pay our bills here. Well, first off, shout out to River Street and to Ideal Amusement. We haven't done that in about, about 6 months. But
What
second, guys,
you
we
get?
do
Sean
have
wasn't doing that. Sean's like the king
no,
of
I
that
don't
shit.
think
Oh,
no, we didn't do
wow,
it
really?
once. But so yeah,
Hey,
shout out to those guys. They're our sponsors, guys. We have a few more on the way. I believe it's what it sounded like too. So hard work. Thanks to the hard work by Sean for nabbing that up. But guys, then we also do want to announce that we have a show on Saturday. I think it's at noon now, right?
yep, noon on the North Side 9. That's the
Yep.
Cubs show. It's
Cubs show, guys.
starting to pick up some steam. They're starting to really
As
get
it
some
should.
traction, and it's a damn good show. I mean, I have not followed the Cubs in a few years, and really since they went to Marquee. But I mean, these guys do a good. Sean and Kyle do a good job of bringing some informed content when it comes to the Chicago Cubs team.
Yeah, they
And
break it down to
honestly,
the
man,
bones, man.
and could you have picked a better season to get going with a Cubs show, man? With this Cubs season, this dream season they're having right now. Hopefully they can keep it going, but like they got in on the ground floor of this thing. So like
Yeah. Next week, Dustin, running backs, the Bears running game, and we gotta have a little like 10-minute PCA tribute. I mean, this kid,
a PCA PSA.
my God, man, the kid is on fire. It's a really fun story to watch. I think
Yeah.
he's probably the most exciting thing in sports currently. It's pretty incredible watching what that kid's doing.
So
Oh,
tune in to the Northside 9 on Saturday. The House Hall Hangover is on Monday. Barely There is on Wednesday at 7 o'clock. House Hall Hangover at 7 o'clock on
7 o'clock. Yeah.
Mondays. Yeah, I mean Mondays. You guys got to jump in with us on Mondays because we just get at each other. We have a lot of fun. We go at it a little
Passion
bit.
runs high. Yeah.
Yeah, as it should with Chicago sports fans.
Yeah, turn your
Thursday,
volume down and tune in.
not too far down. Turn your volume
Yeah.
off and tune in. And
Yeah, don't turn it down 3 times, just 2 times. Yeah.
4starchicagosports.com. You can find a lot of great content there and blog stuff that we're writing, all of our latest shows. You can subscribe through there as well. And we're gonna be we're getting it set up to where we're gonna be on Spotify and we're gonna be in what is it, Apple
Apple
Apple as
Music.
well. Apple Music. So I mean, like, we're trying to branch out. We're trying to give you guys content and every whatever way you like it.
And
If you
different
have any,
avenues of gathering it. Yeah, I guess the audio
Mhm.
thing. Like if you just want, if you're a person that likes to listen more so than watch, we will trying to be provide that as well.
Yeah, man, this is going really good. I've with the community that we have with us, the people that join us and check in with us and leave their comments, man. We love you guys, and it's just a blast growing this thing and having y'all here with us, man. And we're just gonna keep trying to put out content that we have fun putting out, and hopefully that you guys have fun ingesting. And yeah, no, it's fun to watch this thing grow, man. Thanks,
Indeed.
Vizzo. Thanks for
It's
joining
been
us.
one hell of a journey, man, and it feels like it's been years, but it's it
It
started in
hasn't even been,
September of last
yeah, it
year.
hasn't even been a year yet, man.
This is
And
crazy, man. It's been a wild
yeah,
ride,
no,
and I'm
yeah,
really excited to see what happens in the future here, and excited to have talk more Bears with you, Dustin, and these guys here in the chat, and with Sean and Kyle, and just keep doing what we've been doing our whole life, man.
yeah. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. It's a lot of fun, man. Thanks for staying up late with us, guys. I'm tired as
Thank
shit.
you. Bear down, gentlemen.
Great night.